was a first start for Ireland for Swansea's Michael Obafemi, and Troy Parrott, the Tottenham player who's been on loan at MK Dons, is alongside him in attack. The referee and the officials are from Italy. Marco Di Bello is the man in charge. Scotland's team shows two changes from the win over Armenia. Craig Gordon in goal, three central defenders as well. Jack Hendry, Grant Hanley and Scott McKenna. The wing-backs are Anthony Ralston and Andy Robertson, the captain. In midfield, Scott McTominay and Callum McGregor, with John McGinn pushed forward with Ryan Christie and Che Adams in attack. We are underway. Scotland playing from left to right as we look down, and the first strike forward of the game is Scott McKenna pumping it into the Ireland half and putting the ball straight out of play to a cheer from the Irish supporters. Ireland 0, Scotland 0. Scotland in the changed kit. Cullen gets the ball in the midfield for Ireland, and now run down the left-hand side is made by Jason Knight. Referee blows the whistle. There's been a foul on Scott McTominay. The Manchester United defender calling for assistance from the physios already. He's holding his left knee, and the Italian referee just holds up play. 40 seconds played, no goals. Pat Neville.
I don't like the look of this, by the way. He's overextended his knee. That's a horrible injury to do, and can be sometimes quite serious.
Yeah, it looks very painful. It's one that you hyperextend, isn't it? And
Hyperextend. And he felt it right away, and it's one of those ones, gives you a fright as a player, because you don't know for a minute or two if this is something that's going to be, you're going to be walking off that pitch or limping off that pitch, or you can shake it off. It's a tight one. You don't need that right at the start, do you?
It's that jarring sensation that you get that just puts you off, and then you don't know. Like I said, it can be ligaments. It's not. Hopefully it's okay, and it's just a sensation he's got initially, but when you're watching it back in the replay, it's wincing when you're looking at it.
He was challenging for the ball with Jason Knight, and the turf seemed to give away under his feet as well, which led to it being a heavier fall. And he looks a bit, as we'd say in Ireland, he looks a bit shook down there. He's slowly getting back up to his feet. Scott McTominay, who's played in a central defensive role in recent times for Scotland, but arguably they'll get the best out of him in midfield. And it's good to see he's back up on his feet, he's walking, and hopefully it has just been that impact and that he's going to be okay. Play back underway. Just a little warm-up jog on the touchline for McTominay. Scotland temporarily down to 10 men. First touch for Obafemi. Rolls it back to the centre circle to Nathan Collins, who did well in a struggling Burnley team in the Premier League, and what's been his first campaign in the top flight in England this past season. Nathan Collins, and he's balled forward, eventually goes out of play for a throw into Scotland left full-back position.
There's a weird thing happening with Scotland. I'm looking at the right-hand side there. Jack Hendry seems to have a real confusion with Anthony Ralston, who's playing outside him, and he's been dragged out to play in the right full-back position. Now, I don't think Hendry wants to do that, and that's because Ralston's almost playing the right winger. They're having a wee chat, and they need to sort that out.
John McGinn has possession, pushed in the back by John Egan. The referee says fair challenge. John McGinn didn't like that. Republic of Ireland have possession on the left-hand side with James McLean. He passes it into the middle to Josh Cullen, who's been playing his football in Belgium in recent seasons. Vincent Kompany has been his coach at Anderlecht. It's a touch from McLean that slips through the legs of Jason Knight and is kept in play by John Egan. This is all inside the Scotland half. Good cross-field ball to pick out Alan Brown on the right-hand side. 10 yards outside the Scotland penalty area. Left-footed delivery, saved by the goalkeeper. Craig Gordon pushing it away. McLean keeps it in play in the penalty area, chips it back in from the left-hand side. Ireland banging on the door for an early goal. Brown onto Troy Parrott. Crossing position on the right-hand side. We've played 3 minutes so far in the game. It's all been away to our left-hand side. The end of the Republic of Ireland are attacking here towards the end where the Scotland fans are housed. Shane Duffy comes forward through the middle. To his left-hand side is John Egan. Now McLean. Pressured by Ralston, Ireland forced back towards the halfway line.
Yeah, it's a fantastic ball in by Brown. He comes in and puts it with his outside of his right foot, but it just dips and bounces in front of the goalkeeper. He's able to get his hands on it, push it away, puts it into a great area.
James McLean back into the midfield to Josh Cullen. This is midway inside the Scotland half. Shane Duffy, who knows all about Scotland and Scottish football from his time on loan at Celtic, didn't go so well for him last season. He would, imagine, particularly enjoy a win against the Scots today. He's played an ambitious, long crossfield ball to the left wing, which is too hard for James McLean, and it goes out for a throw into Scotland. Right full-back position for them. This is the first meeting of Ireland and Scotland in 7 years. The last time was also here in Dublin, a 1-1 draw. John Walter scored for Ireland. Scotland equalised with an own goal from John O'Shea. Header from McLean. Straight to Callum McGregor, who's wearing the protective face mask. Here is Grant Hanley, relegated back down to the Championship with Norwich this season. McTominay's back on the field and moving freely, which is good to see. And now Scott McKenna, who'll be in the Premier League with Nottingham Forest next season, brings the ball over the halfway line. And Scotland haven't put two passes together inside the Irish half yet. 5 minutes played. Pat Nevin.
Yeah, but obviously you're going to get a little bit of pressure early on. You're playing away from home if you're Scotland, but been very impressed with the start that Ireland have made. Now, I completely agree with Stephen. That right-footed ball in there by Brown was magnificent. They put a lot of pressure on Craig Gordon. Fortunately for Scotland, Craig Gordon's not bad.
Republic of Ireland 0, Scotland 0. McTominay keeps the ball in play on the right-hand side but loses possession. Egan will clear away down the left channel, but there's no one there for Ireland, and Grant Hanley can cruise back, and he has it all to himself inside the Scotland half. This is Group B1, the second tier of the Nations League. Republic of Ireland in danger of being relegated down to the third tier next time, the way things have gone so far. 2 defeats out of 2 in this group already. Caoimhín Kelleher, who played in the League Cup final for Liverpool, hasn't played for Jurgen Klopp since. And the ball put out of play by Ralston for a throw into the Republic of Ireland near the halfway line.
He's in a good position there. He just sets himself out, but he's so good with the ball at his feet, Caoimhín. He's very comfortable, and he just takes up a good position there with that long ball over the top. But Ireland have started really brightly. We did this against the Ukraine during the week, but then we faltered after about 15-20 minutes. Hopefully they can sustain it for a longer period of time.
Ireland have got a couple of young promising goalkeepers coming through at the moment. The other is young Gavin Bazunu, who's played a lot of games lately, who's I believe been signed by Southampton this week from his parents' club Manchester City. He had been playing at Portsmouth. Local Dublin club here, Shamrock Rovers, are set to benefit for that. They had a sell-on clause with Bazunu. They're going to get over £1 million for the add-on there. Here comes Scotland through the centre. Ryan Christie into the Ireland penalty area, held up by John Egan. Support arrives from McTominay on the right-hand side. Ball into Callum McGregor. Scotland seeing more possession now, putting passes together inside the Republic of Ireland now. McGinn flicks it with the outside of his left boot, but McLean is back covering for Ireland, and he puts it out for a throw into Scotland down the right-hand side. Still 0-0 in Dublin.
The thing we sometimes forget, this is mid-June just about. There's a lot of players that are, you know, they might do well for 15, 20 minutes, maybe half an hour. A lot of players will be wrecked, and that's one of the things that's helped Scotland here. Scotland have made a few changes over the last 3 games because they've got more strength and depth than they had in the past. Ireland have made a few changes as well, but they were probably necessary. Yeah, necessary, and a few players have picked up injuries, important players. Seamus Coleman is out, Edna Stevens out, guys like that who are being a mainstay of the squad for the last for years now. So important players, but these players now have to adjust and come in and put in the energy they need for us to perform.
Yeah, Matt Doherty, another who's injured for Ireland at the moment. Republic of Ireland don't have many Premier League level players. We mentioned before kick-off about Liam Cooper and Xander Clark, both not involved for Scotland because both are getting married this week. Let's go back to Ellie Oldroyd. Wicket, I believe, Ellie.
Yes, New Zealand are all out finally here, Connor. 553 they made. Daryl Mitchell, the last man out, caught behind off the bowling of Matthew Potts for 190. Magnificent innings from him, and crucial runs towards the end as well, with Trent Boult, who finished not out 16. So England will have just under 2 hours to bat this evening. We'll go on until 7:05, provided that the weather stays fair in Nottingham. 553 all out, New Zealand.
Thanks very much, Ellie. A busy evening of sport. England take on Italy at Molineux. We'll have commentary here on 5 Live at 7:45. Wales take on Belgium this evening in Cardiff. You can listen to that one on our sister station 5 Live Sports Extra. So 0-0 here in the Nations League in Dublin between Ireland and Scotland. Let's nip back to Welford Road. How's the semi-final between Leicester and Northampton progressing? Sarah Orchard.
Well, it's Leicester Tigers 3, Northampton Saints 3. 10 minutes of the semi-final in the first half still to go. Still very testy between these two sides. Alongside me watching former England fly half Paul Grayson. Again, the best chance we saw, a break from Northampton Saints through Rory Hutchison, but another Skosen error on the far side.
Yeah, he's not having his best day. He's brought his boots, but he's left his hands at home, unfortunately. That's left the Tigers back into the game. This is the first sustained period of pressure Leicester have been able to put on the Northampton Saints. You feel the tide might be starting to turn with 10 minutes to go in the first half.
Yeah, that's right. It's Leicester Tigers 3, Northampton Saints 3 as they play for a place in the Premiership final next weekend against Saracens.
Thanks very much, Sarah. Scotland on the attack in Dublin. Left-hand side with Andy Robertson, the most capped outfield player in this current Scotland squad, a player who was involved in the Champions League final only 2 weeks ago. Ball played forward by Scott McKenna. No one marking Che Adams, but he can't control it on the edge of the penalty area. And Shane Duffy is able to roll it back to Caoimhín Kelleher. Here comes Obafemi. Back heel for Ireland into the path of Jason Knight. It was slightly too firm a back heel and he couldn't bring it with him into the penalty area. McLean will cross from the left, but it goes out of play before coming back in again. And that is a goal kick to Scotland, and Craig Gordon away to our left-hand side. These teams have each got one more game to come in this summer international break. Ireland travel to Poland to play their away game against Ukraine. For obvious reasons, Ukraine unable to host matches in their homeland at the moment. And Scotland will travel to Armenia on Tuesday for their return match against the team they beat 2-0 on Wednesday. Scotland fans enjoying themselves. An inflatable ball has been bounced around in the air. It's all been very good nature. No damage done by Scotland fans in Dublin, apart from maybe Roddy Forsyth's dancing on the dance floor in Ranelagh, which I believe is need to be polished this morning in the aftermath. Here comes Che Adams down the left-hand side into the penalty area, turns onto his right boot, gets a shot in, but two defenders in the way take the sting out of it. Scotland still have it inside the Republic of Ireland half. McGinn, short touch back to Jack Hendry, now chested down by Ryan Christie just outside the D. Callum McGregor gets in touch. This is much better from Scotland now. Mostly one-touch football, short passes, 6 or 7 yards each of them. As a burst for the byline is made by Ralston, and he's done really well against McLean. He brings it into the penalty area, flashes it across the face of goal. Robertson tries to hit it, bounces away off Alan Brown. Robertson gets another chance to deliver it in, and it's a diving header away for James McLean. It's been a frantic start to the match in Dublin. Another cross in, headed away this time by Duffy. Republic of Ireland can't get it away. Shot eventually comes back in from McGregor, and it's off target for a goal kick. Good action from Scotland, still 0-0.
Yeah, just a little period there where Scotland put on a bit of pressure. I was just about to say, if you play three at the back, the most important players arguably are your two wing backs, and Scotland had got nothing out of them so far. Suddenly Ralston gets round the back there, gets a good cross in. Where does it go? Back post. Robertson's on the back of that there. Ireland are struggling, they're stretched. If Scotland are going to get anything out of this game, those two players in particular are going to have to be at their best and are going to have to push forward. They did so there. Scotland good.
Here they come again. Chance from McGinn, and he went for accuracy rather than power. He tried to play it in low to the goalkeeper's right, and Caoimhín Kelleher was able to get across comfortably in the end. McGinn, who's such a good striker of the ball, Stephen, he didn't quite catch it there.
Yeah, he is. He just sets Duffy to pass, and Duffy plays one right down the middle, gets intercepted, and as it comes across, McGinn doesn't get the connection he wants on it. Caoimhín's a decent save from, but Ireland just playing to the hands of Scotland. They're pressing, they're pushing on us, they've got numbers in those forward areas, and they're causing us to give the ball away.
Can I ask a big question? Are they good enough to do it? This is it.
Honestly, that's the question, is it? Because you're asking players to do something they're probably not that comfortable with doing, and then you're when it breaks down, you're saying it's not on you, but it is on you.
Yeah. John McGinn is the player that Scotland would have wanted that chance to fall to. He is the top scorer in this current Scotland squad. 12 international goals to his name so far.
I have to say one thing about McGinn's shooting recently hasn't been great. Roddy and I have been at all the games, and to be fair, it's been really quite poor, and that was a great chance, and there was no power on that at all.
That is reverse curse of the commentator's psychology there for
exactly.
Pat Nevin. So stay tuned for John McGinn's absolute wonder goal, which is coming up any moment
from
now.
30 yards in the corner.
Well,
yeah.
I've seen him score some belters of late for Villas.
I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing.
All I can remember was that bicycle kick against Austria. I mean, what are you talking about, Pat? I'm not having that at all.
The last few games, no, they're really, he's got himself into great positions. The expectations are high with John McGinn, that's the point, and he's not been quite at it as much in the last couple of games.
To be honest, that one there you saw there, it was set up perfectly for him to hit a corner, and he just doesn't get the connection he wanted. And like I said, the expectations for him is in putting them, making the goalkeeper stretch, where that was a comfortable save for Caoimhín.
Need to balance that out from an Irish point of view. I mean, Shane Duffy can't hit a barn door with his head. I mean, hopeless, right? I'm just putting that out there in the hope that it might inspire a reverse curse of the commentator. Not quite sure it's like reverse searing a steak. I'm not quite sure that works.
Is it worrying that you're saying the most likely chance is going to be Shane Duffy?
Well, unfortunately, that is where we are in Irish football at the moment. 0-0 in Dublin, quarter of an hour played. Bright opening start to the game so far. Back to Welford Road and Sarah Orchard.
It's Leicester Tigers 6, Northampton Saints 3 in this semi-final. So the Tigers in the lead for the first time. We've still got 6 minutes of this first half to play. And you do just feel that Leicester persistent, moving up the field. The kicks, everything is starting to come through now, Paul Grayson.
Too many mistakes from Northampton under a little bit of pressure from Leicester. Leicester have got the ascendancy in the scrum. They've had a couple of penalties from that, which has given them field position. Messy period for Northampton leading into 6 minutes to half time. They don't want to concede another score.
And much of the narrative this game continues to be how uncomfortable it is between the two sides. Lots of people up in each other's faces the whole way through. Referee telling everyone off. It's Leicester 6, Northampton 3. 5 minutes until the half-time whistle.
Thanks very much, Sarah. Still 0-0 between Ireland and Scotland. It's not a complete sellout here, but it feels a full stadium. There's a few smattering of green empty seats, but in the main it's a good crowd in this capacity of over 50,000 seater stadium. Here's Alan Brown for Ireland, across from the right hand side. That's not as good as his previous effort. This was low and easily cleared away, but Ireland come again. John Egan of Sheffield United on the left hand side gives it to James McLean. No way past Ralston, so it's back to Egan once again, and he'll turn and send it back into his own half. And Shane Duffy. Ireland come back into Scotland territory on the right hand side of the midfield with Jason Malumbi, who's done well with West Bromwich Albion, former Brighton player who initially moved to the Hawthorns on loan last summer but has made that move permanent now. He's been preferred to Jeff Hendrick in the Republic of Ireland midfield today. McTominay, a good manoeuvre to get away from Troy Parrott and to break up towards the centre circle for Scotland. Callum McGregor gives it to Andy Robertson on the left-hand side. 59th cap for his country for Robertson this evening. Conditions are good in Dublin. Bit of blue in the sky, bit of cloud too. But it feels like a summer's day. McLean and Parrott between them, trying to knock Anthony Ralston off his stride, but he's built of sturdy stuff and he rides those tackles and he clears the ball away for Scotland up to the halfway line. Malumbu gets it back down on the deck, wearing number 15 for the Republic of Ireland. Egan on the left-hand side. Ireland haven't won any of their last 10 competitive home games. They've drawn 7 of them. And all of those 10 games here, neither Ireland or their opponents have managed to score more than a single goal in the match.
Well, I was going to say, the big thing about Ireland is they don't get hammered very often. It's always tight, it's close, it's a one-goal defeat or a draw. So, you know, it's not going to be an easy game for any team that comes here, but the problem is, as you well know, it's the scoring of goals.
It's that creativity that we've been lacking, and even when we get to those final areas, you see early on McLean had a great chance to put a decent ball in, it goes over, and it's just missed opportunities.
So a throw-in for Scotland, right full-back position. Slowly strolling over to take it is Jack Hendry, who's just won the league in Belgium with his club Bruges. He's got a well-travelled CV, Jack Hendry. He's played in Australia, in England, in Scotland, now in Belgium. Possession with Craig Gordon, who's playing his 3rd game in a row, having also played against the Ukraine and Armenia.
Well, here's a question about the Irish then. Lack of creativity. I mean, is there anyone who could be playing for Ireland just now that isn't as creative?
A lot of people are talking about is Jack Byrne is playing a local for Shamrock Rovers, and he's the one a lot of people talk about. He's a number 10, but again, he's playing League of Ireland, so...
Che Adams tries to nip through for Scotland, but Caoimhín Kelleher is alert and sweeps out of his penalty area to clear away.
I was just setting you up to say Jack Grealish.
That's what I thought you were leading towards. That was a Jack Grealish, Declan Rice question.
Yeah. Well, there are others that could have played for Ireland, apart from Grealish and Rice.
Harry Kane.
Wow.
the diaspora is wide and varied, Pat, as you well know.
I do.
Why didn't Pat Nevin play for Ireland, frankly, is the question that I want to know about. But anyway.
You've seen my passport, or my second passport then.
Very Jason Bourne-esque with his passports as Pat Nevin. Right, here comes the Republic of Ireland with Jason Knight on the left-hand side. McLean steadies himself, right-footed delivery, chance for Obafemi, and it's cleared away away just in front of him by McKenna. Obafemi was ready to pull the trigger. It's going to be a corner to Ireland. That was a good delivery from McLean. He's less favoured right boot, but he really steadied himself before sending it in. And McKenna, who was standing in front of Obafemi, just flicked off the top of his scalp, and that veered the ball away from the Irish striker.
It's a fantastic cross from James McLean. He comes in, like I said, his weaker right foot, but he whips into a fantastic area, and Obafemi is waiting there. It's the smallest of touches, just takes it over him. He got his hands on his head, but it was a great cross.
Almost 20 minutes played. It will be McLean to take the corner, and in-swinger. Duffy at the back post, heads it down, and it's in! Republic of Ireland score, and it's Alan Brown who scored against Belgium in March after a good delivery from McLean. A header back down across the goal line from Shane Duffy, and Alan Brown gives Ireland the lead. His fourth goal for his country. Ireland 1, Scotland 0.
It's no surprise that a goal has come from somebody from Shane Duffy, gets his head in it, but he just puts it back into a really good area. Has Scotland don't pick up the man, and Brown gets in. It's a little bit scrappy, just gets a small touch, it bounces up off his chest, ends up in the back of net, but we'll take that. Honestly, Ireland have been devoid of scoring goals, and you know, set plays are always a great opportunity for us, and Duffy does so well on that far post.
Ireland's first goal in this Nations League group.
Yeah, I mean, there have been 3 great crosses so far. One from Brown, obviously McLean had his one before, and the cross was a very good one. But I've got to say, you two, the commentators' curse that you were talking about before, they came within a millimetre of coming. In fact, I'm going to give you it. I am going to give you it, because Duffy did all they had to do there to win it, and he created the goal.
Well, it was Route 1 in its nature. Good delivery of a corner, commanding header of the back post, but it worked. Now the Republic of Ireland, who are due to catch a break in this competition, now lead Scotland. We're going to see what Scotland are made of now. Still a bit raw from that defeat to Ukraine in the World Cup semi-final playoff. The win over Armenia certainly papered over a few cracks in midweek, but a test now for Steve Clarke's team.
Probably what the game needed anyway. You know, it was okay. There were little sparks here and there, but you needed something to push it on a little bit. This should draw Scotland out a lot more, a little bit more space, and hopefully a few more chances both sides.
Obafemi is challenged by Robertson and goes down.
I like this
free
referee.
kick. Referee says throw into Scotland.
Oh, I like this referee.
Yeah, he doesn't take nonsense, does he?
No,
Yeah.
anyone who's diving, he just says, no, I'm not giving you it. I mean, if they do it again, I think he'll start getting his card out for people. And it's not even vicious diving, it's going down easily. He's not having it. I like this guy.
It's great to see him, because as a player coming through, the last thing you want is people diving all over the pitch, and it ruins the game. So for him to be so stern on it, yeah, it's excellent.
Yeah, and consistent, that's it, isn't it? I mean, he's done it a few times now, which should discourage others from attempting any such theatrics. Here's the Ireland goal scorer, Brown, loses possession. Picked up by Ryan Christie for Scotland, but he can't hold on to it. One back for the visitors by Jack Hendry inside his own half. He plays it to Anthony Ralston. 5 goals for Celtic this past season for Ralston. This is just his 3rd cap this evening, his 2nd start. Scotland have it back with the goalkeeper, Craig Gordon. Away to our left-hand side. Smell of sulphur in the air in Dublin from the smoke bomb, the green smoke that was let off in celebration of Alan Brown's goal, the former Cork City player. Here come Ireland down the right-hand side, a surging run by Nathan Collins. His cross into the middle is headed out by McKenna. It bounces by the corner flag and goes out for a throw. Throw into the Republic of Ireland, attacking position down the right. We're midway through the first half.
It was a galloping run, wasn't it? He's got there, I thought he's not going to pace to get away. He certainly did there, and he looked very disappointed that he didn't get at least a corner kick, but that's a throw-in. A very dangerous area for Ireland, and certainly the tails are up, aren't they?
They look more confident, and I think when you have your defenders stepping in front of men like that and driving forward, you can tell that, like I said, the tails are up.
Brown loses it after the throw. Scotland clear. John Egan has possession to himself on the halfway line, and he rolls it back to the Liverpool goalkeeper, Caoimhín Kelleher, wearing all yellow. England against Italy to come later on here on 5 Live from the BBC. Clearance, right-footed by Kelleher. up over the halfway line. There is a wicket of the cricket. Ellie Oldroyd.
Zach Crawley is out in the second over of the England reply for 4. Beautiful shot from him, and then just nicking off Trent Boult through to the wicket-keeper Blundell for 4. So Alex Lees is on 2. England already at the end of the second over, 6 for 1 in reply to New Zealand's mammoth 553.
Thanks very much, Ellie. And we'll have coverage of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix tomorrow on 5 Live from 12 noon. Northern Ireland plays Cyprus tomorrow. Alistair Bruce-Ball will bring you commentary of that from 2 o'clock, and there's the cricket at TNS and Sports Extra as well tomorrow. Here in Dublin, Ireland 1, Scotland 0. Alan Brown's goal, which came after 20 minutes. This is Callum McGregor. The midfield for Scotland plays it through Scott McTominay to the right-hand side to Ralston. McLean stepping back off him. Scotland retreats slightly. Jack Hendry back into the centre circle to Grant Hanley, former Blackburn and Newcastle player, and now Andy Robertson.
He's getting a bit of stick, Andy Robertson, isn't he? I'm surprised, because every second person I've met in the last 2 days has been a Liverpool fan.
No, it's because of the Obafemi thing, that the Obafemi was deemed to have dived, and the Irish fans think that Robertson fouled him. I think that's what that's about. But yeah, they'll all be wearing their Crown Paints shirts underneath their green jerseys. Don't worry about that.
Well, it's because they're 50% of Manchester United fans. I think that's what it is.
There is that too, yeah. So, corner to Scotland. McTominay's going to take it. 25 minutes on the clock in Dublin.
Oh yeah, that might be right. There's a Man United player taking a free kick now, and he's getting booed. This is a Liverpool Man United thing, isn't it?
If you've seen Manchester United play this season, that might be some Man United fans booing it. That's unfair. In swinger from McTominay, too high, and it goes all the way through and out for a goal kick. He swept it in, but too high, and that is harmlessly out for a goal kick for Kelleher in the Republic of Ireland, and Ireland leads Scotland 1-0.
That's actually quite disappointing. There's having a little look here. It's not going to be a penalty kick. It was in a previous move. Their ball was played in, but at the moment Scotland, they need Shea Adams to get on the ball, hold the ball up. He's not doing it. Against the power and the strength of the centre-backs he's against, he's not been able to do that. He's very good at that generally for Scotland, but also there's been a bit of struggle.
That's better from Robertson. That's like the Liverpool player. McGinn shoots just wide. Robertson was in to press the Republic of Ireland, try to play their way out. We discussed it early in the match. He won possession, he pulled it back, and McGinn, for the second time in the game, his finishing wasn't up to the standards that he'd expect.
Well, there's nothing wrong with the actual power on it, and he's beat the goalkeeper just inches off.
It's almost an identical chance to the one before. This one he puts a better connection and just puts it past the post, but Ireland getting caught. That same ball from Duffy gets intercepted, and Scotland are aware of it. They know they're going to try and press us.
And that's why the goalkeeper's launching one from the back this time.
Parrott beaten in the air by Hendry, but Obafemi picks it up for Ireland. Nice little chop turn, and then he scoops it into the penalty area. Parrott! Brilliant goal! Troy Parrott with a stooping header after a glorious return pass to him from Michael Obafemi, and having not scored in this Nations League group at all until today, the Republic of Ireland have scored twice in 27 minutes. This team that has been misfiring lately has suddenly found its groove. That was genuinely a brilliant goal. Ireland 2, Scotland 0.
It is a wonderful goal, and nothing wrong with it. A little bit of route one. Queven Keller kicks it forward. Parrott is the first header. Obafemi gets it down, but the pass afterwards, the run from Parrott, and the little deftness of touch from him, just clip over the man, and then the finish with his head is brilliant. But Obafemi's pass into it was wonderfully executed.
It was a little scoop pass in, and it couldn't have been played better. And Scotland have conceded twice in 8 minutes, Pat Nevin. Steve Clark's team in trouble now.
Well, struggling, and when you see real quality, if that's Silva, De Bruyne, anyone like that plays the ball that Obafemi plays there, you're impressed. It's that good. That is genius. That's brilliant. But how tight is the game of football? Scotland should have scored less than a minute before. Should have been 1-1. Find themselves 2-0 down now, and you can see the list and the confidence and a lot of Irish players, but Obafemi, I mean, that was joyous.
He does really well, but what I'm looking at the Scotland defence, I'm thinking, how come he has that much time when because they kind of just drop off.
Ralston let him go as well.
He does, he lets him go, and then the ball is executed brilliantly, and Parrott's run is timed to perfection as well. Lovely finish from him. But from Scotland's point of view, I'll be thinking, get closer to the man.
Stephen, mentioned before kick-off how the Republic of Ireland for so long have been waiting for a replacement for Robbie Keane, and Troy Parrott is a player who's been on the radar for some time. He's come through as a young teenager, scored 3 goals in 4 games for the under-17s a few years back at their European Championships, and such has been the need and the necessity. He's maybe been pushed in very young into the team. He's still young, he only turned 20 in February, Troy Parrott. He could be the long-term solution to that striking problem. He took that header very well.
And you know what? We know he's got great scoring ability. He's got great feet, and he was pushed into it really early. And there was a lot of expectation on him when he came into the squad and started under Mick McCarthy. You know, he's a young player. He's come through the same system I did. He was at Belvedere. He's gone to Tottenham the way I did. And it's just about biding your time. He's gone down and played leagues football now, which is important for him to get loads of games under his belt and start to realise what men's football is about.
Troy Parrott was given his Premier League debut by Jose Mourinho at Tottenham, and McGregor in possession. And we're going to go back to Welford Road for an update on the Rugby Premiership semi-final with Sarah Orchard.
Half-time, Leicester 6, Northampton 6, and it was all happening in the last few moments of the half when Guy Porter was shown a yellow card by referee Matt Carley for a really high tackle on Rory Hutchison for Northampton. Arguably, Paul Grayson, it could have been a red. He just left it because apparently the player was falling into it, so it remains a 6-all game, but it could have been more.
Absolutely, it could have been more. Northampton will be delighted in one sense that it's 6-all away from home. The scrum is holding up. They're by far the more creative team, but they'll also be kicking themselves for missing 2 open goals in that first half. Leicester looking a little bit clunky in attack, and actually Northampton ahead on points, and now with 1 man extra for the next 10 minutes of the first half.
The narrative of these 2 semi-finals has been all about head contact, unfortunately, but at half-time here at Welford Road, it's Leicester 6, Northampton 6.
Thanks to Sarah and to Paul. Great control there by Troy Parrott. Ireland are on a roll now. There's a bit of a swagger that a 2-0 scoreline gives you in the first half, and these Irish players who've been playing with the weight of the world on their shoulders in recent games now look like they're actually enjoying themselves, Stephen Kelly.
That's an absolutely fabulous take from Troy Parrott there. It's a long ball from Kelleher, but he just lets it roll, the shoulder rolls his man and drags the ball with him, turns, and then has the mindset to just set it off.
Good pressure being applied by Ryan Christie on Shane Duffy, who gets away with one there, and there's been ample evidence to suggest that if Scotland can get in the faces of this Ireland back three, they can force mistakes, and there's still a long way to go in this. Pat Nevin.
Well, Scotland look at their best when the Ireland back three are on the ball. This is a weird situation, but it is. That's where Scotland look more dangerous.
Ireland 2, Scotland 0. Malumbi will chase the ball down the right-hand side, but Scott McKenna, the former Aberdeen man, gets there first, and Scotland have it comfortably with Grant Hanley, who rolls it to the right-hand side to Jack Hendry. Interesting to see how Scotland deal with this now. McKenna comes over the halfway line on the left-hand side. He's got Robertson to his left-hand side. We know the quality of delivery that Robertson can provide for Liverpool, and can Scotland harness that talent in the remaining hour or so of game time here in Dublin? Ireland get it back with Josh Cullen on the edge of his own penalty area. Malumbi to Alan Brown, who scored the opening goal of this game, and his back pass, and again, these unforced errors at the back for Ireland. This one giving away a corner as Nathan Collins is unable to control.
Yeah, it's just being silly in possession. Sometimes you have to put your foot through, you have to realise that you're under pressure, and that's what Scotland waiting for. They're waiting to pounce on us making a mistake.
Do you feel, Stephen, that's coached in? I mean, Stephen Kenny, the manager, speaks so much about the progressive football and not just booting it away. Are they afraid to boot it away sometimes?
Possibly. Sometimes you overdo it, don't you? But if you're Steve Clark, you're saying get after these, pressurise them.
Corner to Scotland. Busy penalty area awaits, and Marco Di Bello, the Italian referee, has come in, and he's having very firm words with Scott McTominay, who's been trying to stand on the toes of the goalkeeper, and he just said, I'm watching you. As Che Adams makes a little run towards the front. It's played in towards the rear, headed away by Duffy, picked up by John McGinn, who's got all his teammates in the centre if he can beat Obafemi here, and he does. Good work from McGinn. Nice low ball to Ralston, edge of the penalty area. Back to Callum McGregor, who sends it out to McGinn again. One touch to steady, and then his delivery is poor. It's too high from the Aston Villa man, and cheers from the Ireland fans behind that goal as the cross sails out for a goal kick. 2-0 Ireland lead.
He's so important again to Scotland, and you can see that the best chances that have fallen to Scotland have fallen to him. He's got into a great position to put the ball in there. It's just a little bit too high. You don't actually complain about that too much. He's getting into good areas, but generally McGinn at his best gives a little bit more than that, and Robertson was flying in at the back post. Scotland at this point in time are looking at, you know, there's only 33 or 34 minutes gone. They would love to get one back before half-time, because if Ireland can get in 2-0 up, that's a massive problem for Stevie Clarke to think of getting 2 or 3 goals in the second half.
Ireland started the day bottom of this group. As things stand in the table, Ireland would move above Armenia and Scotland and up into second place. 2-0, Stephen Kenny's team lead in Dublin. Now here's Che Adams, might have been offside. Flag stays down for now. Couple of step overs on the edge of the penalty area, shows too much of it to Molumbian. And it's one of those where then the flag goes up when it breaks down, and it'll be a free kick to the Republic of Ireland.
You could see him itching to get it up, and he was desperate to go, and everybody in the stadium knew he was going to put it up as soon as the police stopped.
It's crazy, and you're Adams, I bet he's half looking across, but in that situation you want him on the outside. I know he wants to come on his right foot, but go on your left foot there. I know it's, you know, it's, we're talking about it, it hasn't actually happened, but when he's in a one-on-one situation, there's so many bodies inside there.
Just to put in context this scoreline, in the Nations League, and I don't mean this season's Nations League, I mean since the Nations League began, this is the third playing of it, Ireland had scored 2 goals in the Nations League before today. They've scored twice in this first half, and here they go again. Knight, edge of the area, pulls the trigger, and his shot is deflected out for a corner. Jason Knight of Derby County, again putting pressure on that Scotland defence.
Yeah, he steps in really well. Knight was one of the best performers against the Ukraine, and coming in off that left-hand side, and he's not afraid to get a shot his way, but Hanley comes out, gets a block on it, but he picks up a really good position in that pocket and drives inside with it.
You was going to mention that pocket you were talking about before. There's a gap there, and Scotland haven't got a player who's naturally sitting in there. Usually it's McGregor. He's not covering that area at the moment.
Corner to Ireland, who lead 2-0. James McLean to take. Short run up. Left-footed delivery, bit of backspin on it. Duffy at the back post, saved by Gordon. And again, similar to the goal, Duffy taking a position, the back stick from where the corner came. And it was virtually a free header. Good save, Craig Gordon.
He's causing carnage in there, isn't he?
They can't get near him. And by the way, there's a running joke which you may not know about. He never caught it. Ready for South. I'll explain that later. I.e. Craig Gordon's been brilliant, and Craig Brown once said, Roddy told me, he never catches it. And then you watch these brilliant saves and you think, yeah. So
Buffon wouldn't have got that, yeah.
That's a good save.
Right, so another corner. This time the right-hand side, far side of the pitch from us. The right as Ireland come forward. Again McLean, this time to the near post. Egan tried to get there. Duffy too, of course. Ireland wants another corner, they're going to get it. Scotland defenders aren't happy with that, but it's been deemed to come off Grant Hanley. Corner to Ireland, the third in quick succession.
I tell you what, Craig Gordon has to be careful here. You know, Obafemi's getting close to him there. He's annoying him. He's getting in front of him.
Scotland have 2 players marking Shane Duffy. That is the influence that he's having in these set-piece positions. McKenna and Robertson doubling up at Ireland's number 4. Here comes the latest delivery from McLean. Tipped onto his own post by Craig Gordon, who didn't catch it.
He's really spooked. He's very spooked by Obafemi.
Yeah,
really spooked.
He's just causing carnage, getting in around him. He's affecting his awareness of where he is, and even then he tries to put it over the bar, but he almost gets it wrong and puts it into his own net.
So describe, Pat, how is he spooking him?
Right, well, so what he does is doesn't stand in front of Craig Gordon, right, which most of the strikers will do. He stands just behind him, so that as Craig Gordon turns to go and attack the ball, he runs straight into Obafemi. And it's a really annoying Craig Gordon. He wanted a free kick beforehand, didn't get it, then pawed at that one, which was really dangerous. It's infuriating him, but I don't think Obafemi's doing anything wrong.
He's not. He's just getting his peripheral vision, isn't he? He's caused him to look around. It is very clever movement from him.
Scotland come over the halfway line with Andy Robertson. 2-0 Ireland lead with 7 minutes of normal time to go until the break in the Nations League. McTominay bang on the halfway line. Short ball to Callum McGregor. Back to Scott McTominay once again. His 33rd cap for his country today for the Manchester United midfielder. Lots of speculation in the press in the past few days that Frankie de Jong is going to leave Barcelona to go to Manchester United. Might be increased competition for places in that midfield at Old Trafford under Eric Ten Hag. Here comes Callum McGregor, good burst, pulls his cross though behind Che Adams, and Ireland should be able to get it away. Alan Brown was tripped by Robertson. He's gone down on the edge of his own penalty area. And, the referee says it's not a foul. Play on. Well, he's been very consistent in that regard. The cross from Robertson, the header from McGinn, and it's out for a corner. And as Ireland paused and almost switched off, expecting a free kick there, the referee said, no, it's no foul.
I think he's got it right there, because Brown lets it run and doesn't see Robertson on the outside of him, and he nips in, and then he goes down to try and get the foul. But it's a throw-in. He has to get back on his feet. He's not injured. Just get on with the game.
The players have to understand that. I like this referee, as I've said before. He's just letting the game go on, and unless it's an obvious foul, get on with it. Anyone half-diving, this is not allowed.
Here comes the latest Scotland corner. Far side of the pitch from us. Left to Scotland come in. Kelleher comes, gets a fist to it and punches it to the edge of the penalty area where Obafemi should be able to clear it. He's made a bit of a mess of that. Short ball back to Egan. Egan was very strong. Sorry, that was Josh Cullen who was strong. And Ireland should be... another mistake at the back. Chance for Scotland. Ralston on the right-hand side. Ireland had 2 opportunities to clear it away and failed to do so. Callum McGregor skips away from a lunge from Josh Cullen. Scotland retreat back to the centre circle once again with McKenna.
If Scotland got a problem there, is to get the ball, they win it, and then they look up and there is nobody in the middle. That's the problem when they win it high and win it quick. They've only got one striker, and even he wasn't in the middle.
Robertson, high cross, not the standards we expect of the Liverpool player, and Andy Robertson's delivery there gets some wolf whistles from the Ireland's crowd as it goes harmlessly out of play. So if you're just joining our coverage here on 5 Live, Alan Brown and Troy Parrott, the goal scorers for Ireland. Troy Parrott becoming the youngest player in 16 years to score a competitive goal for the Republic of Ireland. You've got to go back to 2006, Stephen Ireland scoring against Cyprus in a qualifier, but he took his header very well. Alan Brown took his goal from all 3 inches out that it was very well after it was headed down to him by Shane Duffy. Scotland's best chances since have fallen to John McGinn, but he's been unable to hit the target with them. 2-0 Ireland lead. Craig Gordon clears away from the back.
You know what I'm surprised about? When Ireland have actually kicked the ball, that Scotland haven't come and made the first contact and knocked it back properly. The 3 centre defenders haven't really got grips with the 2 lads up front.
2-0 it remains. Duffy calls for it. Egan stoops away. Almost in fear there. He knew Duffy was barrelling up behind him, and Duffy puts it out of play.
Part of Scotland's problem with that back 3 is it has changed a lot. Hanley being central is always good. That's the centre of it. But they got used to having Tierney beside him, and they were more comfortable when Kieran Tierney was playing there, because he'll play a little bit more football. He can play out for the back. He had a great understanding with Robertson. And I just wonder, Scotland have to make a change maybe in the second half to bring something more positive. I will not be shocked if they bring on Aaron Hickey. And if you have a left centre-back who will attack, which might push Robertson a little bit further forward.
Scotland haven't lost away to Ireland since this month in 1963. A goal from Noel Cantwell won it for the Republic. It's been a long, long time. Well, this first half really couldn't have gone much better for Stephen Kenny, a manager who's been under pressure. He's recently signed a new contract. He's in the job through to the next Euros, but results have been poor. If Ireland were to lose this game, they would no longer have the chance of making it to the playoffs of Euro 2024 through the Nations League. It's been a good reaction from this much-changed Republic of Ireland team so far. But here comes Scotland. Callum McGregor to the left-hand side to Andy Robertson. Tries to send in a low cross, and he's deflected out by Alan Brown for another corner. Corner to Scotland on the left-hand side. This is Scotland's 4th corner of the match.
That's Robertson, though. That's what you want to see from him. He doesn't get that position as often for Scotland as he does with Liverpool. And people get confused by it. You have to underline, that's Liverpool. You will get the ball there a lot.
But also I think it's a wing-back position. I think wing-back and full-back,
different there.
McTominay's corner was an in-swinger and low, and Ireland haven't got it away yet, but a chance to counter now. Troy Parrott up to Jason Knight, who's fouled on the halfway line, surely by Ryan Christie. Yellow card to Christie, who knew exactly what he was doing there. He has taken one for the team. He knew that the Scotland defence was thin at the back, having sent up players for the corner, and Christie with a deliberate foul on Knight. Yellow card for him, and that is the first booking of the game.
Once again, well done, referee. Right up with the play. That was a quick break by Ireland there, and that's one of those it's upsetting if you're Irish, because that's a great break in a brilliant position. You say he's taking one for the team, but that's, if you're Irish, that's hard to take.
But it's an important part of the game. I was in Cardiff on Wednesday, and Wales got the stoppage time equaliser as Collins appeals for a penalty here. The referee is waving for him to get up and get on with it. VAR will have a look in the background. But Wales made it 1-1 in the 90th minute. And then there was a break by Frankie de Jong, and he brushed off two players, exactly as Knight tried to do there, who tried to play the ball, who didn't take one for the team, and Wales ended up losing the match. And sometimes, it's the dark arts, but sometimes you've got to do it.
I think it's so important. The best teams always have a player that does that. You think of City, you think of Fernandinho, you think of, they all are capable and willing to just take one for the team when it needs to be done. And in important situations like that, because Obafemi was flying forward to get the pass, it's important to do it.
Final 30 seconds of normal time in the first half in Dublin. We'll find out in a moment if there'll be any stoppages to be added on. But Alan Brown's goal after 20 minutes, Troy Parrott's goal after 28. Scotland at one stage really didn't know what was hitting them in this first half. Steve Clarke's side have steadied the ship. They're enjoying more possession now in their opponent's half, but Caoimhín Kelleher has not looked particularly burdened in the Republic of Ireland goal. Ireland play it out from the back again with James McLean. Tries to take on Ralston, and he loses again, and that's happening too often now. Ireland trying to play their way out, losing the ball. There will be 1 minute added on for stoppages here in the sunshine in Dublin. Free kick to Scotland, because after McLean had lost the ball there, he did sort of what we were discussing there, and he took the foul for the team, if you like. But this is a decent position for Scotland now to try and send it into the box.
Yeah, they've put all the big men up there as well. They've got a lot of power there. The problem is for Scotland, so have Ireland. They've been really good. Now, obviously, that man Duffy, he's been getting on the end of most things, hasn't he, so far?
So the two standing over this for Scotland are Ralston and McGinn. It's 10-12 yards outside the penalty area, level with the corner edge of it on the right hand side. It's McGinn in swinging. That's a better delivery, but headed away by James McLean. Chance for Obafemi here to come on the counter-attack. Bundled to the ground by John McGinn. Free kick to the Republic of Ireland, and Obafemi, quick thinking, takes it quickly. However, he's too fast for his own good, and he puts too much on it over the head of Alan Brown. But I like the quick thinking there. It was the right idea.
It is the right idea, and then I'm sure the bench is saying no, stop, because there's only a minute or two left, so you want to put your foot in it. But no, he's in, Brown is in, get it there quickly, and we split the play. But I think a huge difference for Ireland is we put three in midfield, and it's made it much more difficult for Scotland to play through. And I know you said Scotland had issues in that department as well, but for us it's definitely shored us up.
There's the whistle for the break. So it's a rare, buoyant, positive move at the Aviva in Dublin, watching this Republic of Ireland team who have been through the ringer lately in terms of their performances and their results, but there's been very little to criticise in that opening 45 minutes. Crucially, Ireland took the chances when they came, and in all levels of football, but especially international football, if you don't take your chances, you're always going to be in trouble. Ireland have taken theirs here.
Yeah, and they have taken them really well. The power one especially, the setup play was fantastic, the finish was excellent. Brown, Duffy, back post, Scotland haven't been able to deal with him when it comes to set plays, and we've been putting good deliveries into the box, causing problems. And I just think from an all-over perspective, even though we've caused problems ourselves defensively, giving the ball away, in an attacking sense, we put in a lot better delivery than we have done over the last two games.
Scotland's form has been good though, Pat. That defeat to Ukraine, they're only lost in the last 10 matches. Can they get back into this in the second half?
They are capable of doing it, but they'll need adaptations in personnel and probably system as well. I think Obafemi is frightening the life out of the Scotland defence just because he's got pace, he's playing with such confidence now. But Stevie Clarke is good, he's very good tactically, and he will change things. Interesting to see who he goes for. I mean, he has got a centre forward in Ross Stewart who is actually on the bench, and it might be a temptation to bring him on. But if you keep on playing the way they are just now, it's probably not going to be enough, because Scotland don't look as if they've got 3 goals in them at the moment. So adaptations will have to be made.
Right, Ireland's backs were to the wall coming into this, but the Republic of Ireland team have pulled out a performance in that opening 45 minutes for their coach Stephen Kenny. Ireland leads Scotland at half-time by 2-0.
And we'll be back for the second half at the Aviva Stadium in Dublin very shortly. But we're underway at Welford Road in the second half of the second Semi-final in the Gallagher Premiership. This one, of course, between Leicester and Northampton for the right to play Saracens in next weekend's final. Sarah Orchard.
Yeah, we're about 3 minutes now into this second half. It's Leicester Tigers 6, Northampton Saints 6. But of course, the Tigers have had to come out and they're now playing with 14 for the next sort of 5 minutes or so after they got a yellow card right at the end of just before that half-time whistle went. Watching alongside me at the moment, former England fly half Paul Grayson. Both sides have chances. Nobody can finish. Nobody can score a try.
No, they want to keep it tight, don't they? Leicester have come out, set 2 driving balls at the start of the second half, kicked 3 box kicks. Northampton, when they're on the ball, they look really dangerous, but they couldn't finish their dinner at the moment.
No, it is the story at the moment. But then, of course, Sonia, this is knockout rugby. It means so much to both sides. It is, of course, a derby as well, which just adds that little bit extra spice on top. We've still got 35 minutes to travel to find out who is going to face Saracens at Twickenham next Saturday. It's Leicester 6, Northampton 6.
I imagine it brings pressure as well, Paul Grayson, because Northampton have been finishing tries for fun in the run-up to this semi-final. As you say, suddenly that clinical side has deserted them.
Yes, as consequence hoves into view. You get it wrong today, that's it. There is no next week. So that just adds, that's what elite sport's all about, who can deal with the big moments best.
Yeah, it's 6-6 at Welford Road. Leicester Tigers against Northampton Saints. We'll keep across that one. Let's go back to Trent Bridge. England put into bat now in their second innings. They trail by 526, don't they, Ellie?
Yes, it's a small margin, of course, between the two sides. But just the 1 wicket to fall for England. Zach Crawley caught behind off Trent Boult for 4. But Alex Lees had a huge let-off, dropped on 12 by none other than Daryl Mitchell, the man who scored 190 for New Zealand, and was himself dropped on 3 by Joe Root at first slip. It was a similar kind of catch. Should definitely have had it. It was in his hands and he just slipped out. Tim Southey was the bowler, but Alex Lees given a lifeline on 12. He's on 16 now. Ollie Pope is on 7. England 27 for 1. So yes, 526 runs behind New Zealand.
Thanks very much, Ellie. We're going to go back to the Live Golf now. We had a massive debate earlier about the moral implications of this highly controversial event. And I gather, Ian Carter, that in the last few minutes, another big signing has been announced.
Yes, the 2018 Masters champion. This was expected, Sonia. Patrick Reed, 31 years of age, from Texas, Captain America, he was known as in the early part of his career when he was such a dominant force in the Ryder Cup. But those days may well be numbered now. His Ryder Cup future could be jeopardised by defecting here, but he follows in the footsteps of Bryson DeChambeau. He will be looking, as the 17 players who earlier this week were banned, he'll be looking at a suspension from the PGA Tour, but he will be playing in the second event at the end of June, which will be played in Portland, Oregon. As for the final round here, it is it's still slow going, but Charles Schwartzel's still out in front, although a double bogey at the 10th means that means he's back to 8 under par. His lead down to 3, and Sam Horsfield, in fact, has just knocked in a birdie putt, which has taken the Englishman to 6 under par, so 2 shots behind. Of course, $4 million to the winner. Second place is worth $2.125 million.
Yeah, not bad day's work, it has to be said. Sarah Orchard, are you there? I gather you've got a try.
For Northampton as well, they were camped out on the line about 5 metres out for a good 7 or 8 phases before eventually going over. Tommy Freeman was the scorer, and he really has been a live wire this season. Alongside me, Paul Grayson, a great finish, a patient finish from Northampton.
Well, just what they didn't do in the first half. Leicester still down to 14 men. Northampton run through 6 or 7 phases, manipulate the space. It ends up being an absolute walk-in for Freeman, who has been an outstanding discovery for Saints this year.
Well, at the moment, it means it's Leicester 6, Northampton 11, as Dan Biggar just lines up this conversion 15 metres out from the far side touch. Of course, the Wales international fly half. This is his bread and butter as he takes his run up, uses that right boot. It's high into the Leicester sky, but no conversion. So, Sonia, here at Welford Road in this semi-final, it remains Leicester 6, Northampton 11.
Yeah, and I sat next to Tommy Freeman at a dinner the other night, and he was on water ahead of such a big game. If they were to win this one, I imagine it might be a little bit different tonight. We'll be back to reflect on a pole position for Charles Leclerc at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix after the news here on 5 Live with Matthew Bone.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Sonia. Royal officials have insisted Prince Charles remains politically neutral following a report that he's called plans to send some asylum seekers to Rwanda appalling. Yesterday, the High Court ruled that the first flight to Rwanda could go ahead next week. Tony Smith, who's a former Director General of UK Border Force, says ministers have insisted their plans pose no risk to human rights.
They have issued a good deal of information on country reports about Rwanda, and they have given assurances backed up by the Rwanda government that actually there is no risk to people's human rights. And that's what the judge found yesterday, having looked at the evidence from both sides. So it is designed to try and find somewhere to return people to who don't qualify to stay in this country.
The family of one of the 2 British men sentenced to death for fighting against Russian forces in Ukraine have said they're devastated. A statement from Sean Pinner's relatives said he'd been a resident of Ukraine for over 4 years and should be treated as a prisoner of war. Campaign groups have accused the government of failing to deliver on its promise of a new food strategy for England. A leak of its plans suggests there'll be no new tax on salt and sugar in processed foods. And firefighters say that a fire that severely damaged a pub part owned by the England cricketer Stuart Broad is believed to have been accidental. The Tap and Run in Nottinghamshire has closed for the foreseeable future.
We know our place. It's on winners' podiums, hitting aces on centre court, breaking record after record. We know our place. It's smashing sixes on millions of screens across the nation.
There's a feeling that this match will be felt for generations to come.
It's on pitches, in sold-out stadiums. Women in sport. Yep, we know our place. It's everywhere. This is our BBC.
This is 5 Live Sport with Sonia McLaughlin.
Hello, welcome back. Second half commentary of the Republic of Ireland against Scotland to come in the Nations League. Ireland surprise leaders at half-time, 2-0 as it stands. Earlier in the day, Saracens beat Harlequins in the first Premiership semi-final. That was by 34 points to 17. We heard from the Saracens camp a little bit earlier. So let's hear from Harlequins, who now relinquish their title, the champions beaten. Nick Evans has been speaking to our correspondent, Chris Jones.
Nick, tough game, captivating occasion. Any complaints with the result?
No, I think we're disappointed. I think if it stayed 27-17 was probably a fair result. And they got the try at the end there. Look, I just thought we were a little bit inaccurate at times today, and they put us under a lot of pressure. I thought we struggled to make inroads in that first half in attack, but we were only 3 points down, and we're pretty happy with that. And obviously, a couple of errors after half time kind of put the game out of us, and we rallied a little bit. But against a side like Sarries, you're not going to break that kind of wall, even when they went down to 13 and 14.
I know you're used to big comebacks. You did it on the way to winning the title last year. Did you feel you could still win from 10 down, given the men advantage you had? Yeah,
100%. I think we always believed that. And I think, again, a few moments, I think when they went down to 13, it took us 6 or 7 minutes to score. If we score within 1 or 2 minutes, that's a tough period for them to defend. So, look, I think in the semi-final, you're going to give them credit. They nullified our line out to a certain extent. They defended very well, and they took their opportunities brilliantly. So, look, it was, I don't want to say a learning experience, because you don't want to learn in semi-finals, but look, it gives us a good stead of where we're at, and for us to win last year, get back to the semi-finals, the only team to do it from last season shows we've evolved and we've progressed, and we just have to progress again and look to where we can add to our game.
Set the benchmark for next season going forward.
100%. Yeah, I think there's a good confidence. There's belief and ambition in the squad, and I think we know who we are, and that was summed up by last year and again this year. And we just need to build and adapt and find ways to win games differently and add to what we've already got. And I think next year is going to be even harder for the whole teams. Squad sizes are going down, the whole salary cap thing. So look, we're going to have to find different ways to win games, but it's exciting. We've got a good group of young kids coming through, guys that are going to play a lot. They're going to get exposed to how we play and how we do things, so that's exciting in itself.
Thanks for your time. Cheers, Nick.
No worries.
That is Nick Evans. Now, Ferrari's Charles Leclerc will start on pole at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix after a brilliant last lap, which saw him finish ahead of Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen in the Red Bulls. And we'll have commentary from midday tomorrow of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. It's getting interesting at Welford Road, Sarah Orchard.
Yeah, George Ford for the Leicester Tigers has just sailed through a gap in the Northampton Saints defence. Of course, he's playing in front of the Welford Road crowd for the very last time before he moves up to Sal. He's about to convert his own try and put the Tigers back in the lead in this semi-final. It's now Leicester 13, Northampton 11, and the Northampton defence just asleep, Paul Grayson.
Yeah, it came from a turnover. They were playing out of their own 22, Northampton. Alex Mitchell, England hopeful scrum half, threw an interception pass. Hanro Liebenberg picked it off, and Leicester moved it to the wide outside, and George Ford did what he does best, took the ball to the line, found a sleeping defender, show and go under the sticks.
It's tight here, Sonia. It's going to go down to the wire. Leicester Tigers 13, Northampton Saints 11, still 27 minutes to play.
Thank you. We will be back in Dublin shortly for the second half of the Republic of Ireland against Scotland. We've also tonight at 7:45 got commentary of England against Italy in the Nations League. It's a big one, isn't it? It's a repeat of the Euro 2020 final. Correspondent John Murray will be at Molineux. That's staging an England Test match for the first time in 66 years, I was reading. And John, it's déjà vu because once again, this is behind closed doors.
Yes, it is. I mean, it's a lovely summery scene here this evening, and you're absolutely right. The first time that England will play an international here since 1956, but sadly, it will be played effectively behind closed doors, and rather like Budapest last Saturday night, when children aged 14 and under were allowed in. That's going to be the case here at Molineux as well, but there will be only around 2,000 of them, and all from clubs that are registered with England within a 100-mile radius of Molineux, and as per last week in Budapest, they'll be accompanied by adults as well. So I think you can have a maximum of 12 adults per group of 50. So they're not yet into the stadium, but I can see the stewards on the far side in the sunshine in the Steve Bull stand. So I guess that's where they're going to be.
And how much will you be looking for England to, in a sense, build on that very positive finish that they had in the draw to Germany on Tuesday when they eventually forced the penalty from Harry Kane and they got the equaliser? There was much to be positive about in that last bit of the game.
There was certainly in the closing stages of this match, but I know that there were also concerns from many England watchers about the way that they played in the early part of the game. But I thought it was a significant improvement on what we saw in Budapest on the Saturday night. I thought they did get that extra half yard back. And I think the way that they finished the game, I think with Grealish and Bowen, whether we'll see them both start in this match, we'll find out before too much longer. There's quite a lot of negativity, it would seem, around England. But, my feeling is these are Nations League matches. They're competitive games. But they've both of the matches that we've seen so far involving England have had a certain amount of end-of-season feel about them. So I think it all needs a little bit of context.
It does. Thank you very much, John. John will be part of the team later tonight at Molineux alongside Matt Upson and Ian Dennis, bring you England against Italy. Just to tell you, it's now Leicester Tigers 13, Northampton Saints 11 still in that second semi-final in the Gallagher Premiership. The right to play Saracens in the final next weekend. It's just 55 minutes on the clock, so it's close in that big East Midlands derby. We're going to go back to the Aviva Stadium now in Dublin, and we can, for the second half of the Republic of Ireland against Scotland in the Nations League. And Connor, I've really been enjoying the little choruses of the Fields of Athenry.
Oh yes, standard canon in these parts, absolutely. We'll be hearing a bit more of it if it stays like this too. We're just back underway for the second half. Scotland have made a change over the break. Birthday boy Billy Gilmore, 21 today, has come on in place of Jack Hendry. So Pat Nevin, that's a midfielder on for a defender. What does it mean to how Scotland are lining up?
Well, it doesn't change anything because then McTominay will go back, play where Jack Hendry was playing. Gilmore will go into midfield, so the system will remain roughly the same by the looks of things. However, it does give you an option at some point to put McTominay in midfield. You have three midfielders there and two centre backs. I think Scotland might need to do that sooner rather than later.
So Billy Gilmore, the Chelsea player who was on loan at Norwich City, this past season on into the midfield. Ireland unchanged from the team that started the match. Caoimhín Kelleher, the Liverpool goalkeeper, playing behind three central defenders: Nathan Collins, Shane Duffy and John Egan. Alan Brown and James McLean are the wing backs. Jason Malumbi and Josh Cullen in the middle of the midfield. Jason Knight pushing on. And the front two, who've combined well, Michael Obafemi and Troy Parrott. Che Adams wins a header for Scotland, but his team immediately lose the ball. So the Scotland team, as it is now: Craig Gordon, the goalkeeper; McTominay dropping back with Grant Hanley and Scott McKenna. Then Anthony Ralston, right wing back; Andy Robertson, left wing back; Gilmore and McGregor and Christie and McGinn in the midfield, and Che Adams is the striker up front. The best Scotland chances in this game so far have fallen to John McGinn, and he struck them all wide. Header by Christie, but it comes straight through to Nathan Collins, and the Burnley centre-back will roll it back to Caoimhín Kelleher, who clears away. Ireland hold on to possession in the midfield with Jason Malumbi. Important, you feel, that Scotland get a good start in this second half.
Yeah, they've not created enough chances, and is there enough belief in the team? Is there enough energy left in the team? This time of the season, tiredness, and of course the Irish players, they're pure adrenaline now. You've got 2 goals up, you've got something to fight for. You're right, something needs to happen early for Scotland.
Ireland, who scored as many goals in the opening 28 minutes of this match today as they had done in their previous 12 Nations League games. Clearance from Kelleher. Obafemi, who's one of the smallest players on the pitch, jumps in. He's so comfortably beaten by Grant Hanley. That was a complete mismatch of an aerial battle. And the ball runs through back to Kelleher again. The Liverpool goalkeeper I saw was interviewed last week, asked about his club situation, where, look, obviously he's behind Alisson in the pecking order at Liverpool. It'll be interesting to see what does he do now. Is he happy to be the reserve keeper, to play in a few cup matches, or will it be good for him to go out and loan and get a full season of first team experience, which he's not had yet in his career? But certainly a talent, Caoimhín Kelleher, and I'm sure Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool will have very careful plans of what to do with him. Corner to Scotland on the left-hand side, and Gilmore, recent addition, coming on as the sub at half-time, will take. Right-footed delivery towards the back post. Duffy wins the header, nods it out to John McGinn, so Scotland will remain in the attack. McGinn near the touchline on the right-hand side, into Callum McGregor, leaning back as he played it in. A header miscued by Scott McKenna, and the Republic of Ireland are relieved to clear it away, and they bang it down the pitch all the way to Craig Gordon, wearing bright orange, away to our right-hand side. Ireland 2, Scotland 0. Stephen Kelly.
It was actually a great opportunity from Scotland there. It comes to McKenna. He's got so much time when he gets up and heads. He just gets the direction wrong. Instead of putting it back towards goal, like Duffy had done so many times, he puts it away and Ireland were able to clear. But it'd be interesting now to see, because Ireland expect, or Scotland expect, will have some possession, and how Ireland are going to deal with that.
Clearance at the back for Ireland by Nathan Collins. Header won on the halfway line for Scotland by Scott McKenna. Scotland playing right to left as we look down now, attacking the open end of the Aviva Stadium, where their Scottish fans are mainly housed, away to our left-hand side. Jason Malumbi has it just inside his own half, wearing the bright red boots, and he rolls it back to Shane Duffy, and in turn back to the goalkeeper Kelleher, who's got the bright red boots matching his club team colours, as he clears it away down the field. Header again won by McKenna, and then there is a foul, and the referee blows the whistle, and a challenge on Jason Knight means a free kick to the Republic of Ireland just inside their own half.
Don't argue too much for that one, but Scotland a little bit brittle at the start there. I mean, certainly Robertson a couple of times early on in the second half, he flew up on that left-hand side. Back to what I said right at the start of the game, Scotland are going to get success in this system. They need the wing-backs getting up there. They need them crossing balls in. They need them giving the options. Oh, Scotland have never really given the ball away.
Almost. McTominay put under pressure on the edge of his own penalty area by Troy Parrott, but Scotland survived that scare. The Scots still trail 2-0. That's a rash challenge there. The referee deems it a fair one, mind you. It was Ryan Christie who clattered in, and then a brilliant shot from Obafemi! Wow! Must have been 12 yards outside the penalty area. I don't think anyone expected him to shoot from there. Obafemi's first ever international goal is an absolute beauty, and the Aviva Stadium celebrates as it hasn't done in some time. This is becoming a standout performance. Ireland 3, Scotland
one touch on his left foot, opens up, and he absolutely rifles it into the top net. It's a sensational strike from him. Seriously, the movement on the ball is wonderful.
The movement on the ball is ridiculous. I mean, it's gone on almost centrally. You would say, Craig Gordon, well, you should maybe say that. The ball's all over the place. What has he done with that? What a goal. He has had one of the best assists and one of the best goals I've seen in years in international football. What a game he's having.
It's coming, you know what, there's been a lot of people, and he's been clamouring to get back in the team, and there's been question marks whether he actually wants to do it, but this performance now puts him in front and centre for being that central striker. His pace, the setup, and that strike was sensational.
He is short, he is stocky, he's had an incredible impact on this game. Michael Obafemi came through at Southampton. He's had a season on loan at Swansea, where he has scored 12 goals for them in the Championship. Today is his first start for Ireland, and he set up the Troy Parrott goal brilliantly, and he has taken that goal so well. Ireland 3, Scotland 0. Steve Clarke's team's task has just got even more difficult now. Back to Welford Road, Sarah Orchard.
And Northampton Saints, they are in the lead here in this semi-final. They now lead by 1 point. Leicester 13, Northampton 14. But Leicester now have a penalty. George Ford is just lining this one up for them to go back in front once again. I mean, it is toe-to-toe stuff, Paul Grayson.
Yeah, it is edgy of your seat stuff. Notable for the fact that Dan Biggar off, injured, replaced by James Grayson, who I know quite well. Ben Young substituted. Not having his finest afternoon, no surprise, considering what's gone on. Ford now has the opportunity to take Leicester back in front.
We are whispering here at Welford Road because George Ford is lining up a penalty to put them back ahead in this semi-final. The place will erupt if he gets it. It goes high to the eye. And the flags fly, and the Leicester Tigers fans are happy once again. So, yeah, this lead, it keeps on changing hands. It's now Leicester Tigers 16, Northampton 14.
Saracens await in the final, having beaten Harlequins earlier on today by 34 points to 17. Back in Dublin, Ireland 3, Scotland 0. 53 minutes on the clock. Michael Obafemi's goal in the early stages of the second half is continuing what is becoming a party atmosphere at the Aviva. And isn't it funny, I can't remember an Ireland game in a long time, Stephen Kelly, that there was such doom and gloom in the build-up. I don't think anyone saw this coming.
No, absolutely no. Everybody was sceptical. We felt Scotland were in a better position than us. The team were stronger at the moment, and they're, you know, almost going to a World Cup. Us on the back of losing to Armenia. But the atmosphere now is electric. The team are playing really well. The goals have been fantastic, and you know, Scotland have a lot to try and do to get back into this.
John McCain controls, plays a pass towards Robertson, but he didn't put enough on it. It was a soft pass, and Alan Brown was able to nip in the score of Ireland's opening goal today and put it out for a throw-in. There's another ball on the pitch of the beach ball inflated variety. It is blue and white in colour. I would suspect it has come from the Scotland fans. And Craig Gordon's just had to kick that off the pitch, and while there is a break in play, Michael Obafemi has taken a seat, and he is going to need some medical attention. So a reminder that after this game here in Dublin, we'll be winging our way to Molineux. Ian Dennis, John Murray and Matt Upson will bring you commentary of England against Italy in the Nations League later on. Wales play 2 tonight, Wales against Belgium, and you can listen to that one on 5 Live Sports Extra. So Obafemi, the Swansea player, signed back in August for £1.5 million from Southampton, is still receiving some treatment, and Ireland are getting ready to make a substitution here. And getting ready to come on is Scott Hogan. So Obafemi departs the field injured after scoring a wonder goal, but this performance is going to be spoken about for some time. Really, really good assist in the build-up to Troy Parrott's goal. A scooped, weighted pass into the area which is headed in, and then a thunderbolt of a shot for Ireland's third goal, and it is a proper hero's applause that he's been given as he leaves the field. Michael Obafemi.
Yeah, you know what, I think everybody's been looking for him to step up, and a season playing football week in, week out in the Championship has done a lot for him to come into this team, and he's had to wait and be patient.
Scott Hogan is on. Cross from Scotland. Kelleher, under a bit of pressure, pushes it out over the top of his crossbar, and it's going to be a corner.
I don't know who's given out the man of the match, but if Obafemi doesn't get it between now and the end of the match, someone's going to have the best 35 minutes of football I've ever seen.
Corner to Scotland, which Robertson is preparing to take. Far side of the pitch from us. Swings it in well. Good leap by Hanley, but he can't get a clean touch to it, and he falls on top of his opponent. And the ball is going out for a goal kick to Ireland away to our left-hand side.
That is a clash of titans come together, isn't it? Those two. We wouldn't like to get a sandwich between them.
Duffy
I think that
Hanley.
Yeah, I think they actually measured in the Richter scale just for a moment there.
Ireland 3, Scotland 0. Ireland in possession at the back. Shane Duffy with the white boots. Rolls it into Malumbi. Oh, it feels like an accident waiting to happen as they play their way out, but this time he does wriggle through. Troy Parrott will bring it over the halfway line. Billy Gilmore is sprinting to try and get back. Parrott waits for that connection to come, and no whistle from the referee. He's been very consistent with those, but 99 times out of 100 you see a free kick there. I do think Parrott was waiting for the connection, and the referee said play on.
I like it because he wants it, he's playing for it. It's because he's running out of legs. He's absolutely running out of legs. He wants it.
As he's running forward, I'm thinking, just hit it because they're catching you. But you can tell he doesn't feel like he's got enough power behind him as he gets there.
Well, it's Scotland who have possession just inside their own half. Gilmore gives it to the left-hand side to Robertson. His ball forward, chested down with confidence now by Shane Duffy. Ireland on top here at the moment. Back to Welford Road and Sarah Orchard.
Yeah, you come to me as we're going to get another hush going around Welford Road once again. It's going to be another penalty line-up for George Ford for Leicester Tigers to go further ahead in this semi-final. They currently lead 16-14, but the Northampton Saints, they're now down to 14 men after Oisin Heffernan was sent to the bid as Ford just bounces that one off the post. So it remains 16-14 as we now bring in Paul Grayson alongside me, former England fly half. I mean, the yellow card for Oisin Heffernan, the reserve tight head. I mean, there was a lot of conversation between the referee and the television match official. It sounded a bit like the television match official wanted to give a penalty.
TMO definitely said initial contact was on the shoulder and then bounced up, tried to persuade the referee it was a penalty only. Matthew Carley was having none of it, brandished the yellow card. Northampton survived. That's a let-off from George Ford. He'd normally expect to get that kick, hit the post. It is a blustery day here today. Saints need to hang on for the next 8 minutes or so.
Yeah, it's 12 minutes to go in this semi-final. The right to play Saracens at Twickenham next Saturday is up for grabs. It's Leicester Tigers 16, Northampton Saints 14, but they're down to 14 for the next 6 minutes.
Thanks very much to Sarah and to Grace. Still Ireland 3, Scotland 0 here. Scotland trying to freshen things up, have made 3 changes. So Stuart Armstrong has come on in place of John McGinn. Ross Stewart, the Sunderland forward, has come on for Che Adams up top. And Jacob Brown has replaced Ryan Christie. Brown, the Stoke City forward. Can these players make a difference? Here comes Andy Robertson. Tripped by Shane Duffy, who's going to see yellow here. Duffy took him down just outside the penalty areas. Robertson was about to break into the box. Free kick to Scotland in a shooting position. If Scotland could get one back here, there's a half an hour to play. This could still become an exciting climax. But at the moment, Ireland comfortably in front.
It's opened up quite a bit in the last... Well, all games do as the game goes on. But it has opened up. There's been a few breaks. Scotland haven't made the best of it. But there is space in that now. And the fact that Scotland have made a 3-man change there should be a little bit more energy. And keep an eye out for Ross Stewart. You know, not had that many James in Scotland, but he's a big striker. He knows the way to go. And he would love to score here.
26 goals for Sunderland this past season for Ross Stewart. He knows how to find the back of the net. Now, this is a long way out. Ireland have erected a 3-man wall. Billy Gilmore is standing over it. And in desperate times like these, might he be tempted to have a crack here? Scotland have got 3 players who are standing in blatantly offside positions to try and distract the Ireland defence, who will feel tempted to just drop back. Gilmore floats it in, it's not a shot, and it's well claimed by Kelleher. Under a lot of pressure, he held it high above his head, and He bowls it out over onto James McLean down the left-hand side. 60 minutes played exactly in Dublin. 3-0 Ireland, but a try at the rugby, Sarah Orchard.
It's for the Leicester Tigers. It's their wonder fullback, Freddie Stewart, who's doing it for club and country now, who went over in the corner. It was basic maths with the Saints down by one man. They managed to create the overlap. It's now Leicester 21, Northampton Saints 14. We're going to stay with this one for the conversion, watching alongside Paul Grayson. It was simple maths. Leicester held onto the ball. The space came.
It came from another Northampton mistake in their own third, trying to play out of their own half. They knocked the ball on as Ellis Genge leaves the field to rapturous applause. Last time he'll play at Welford Road as a Tigers player before moving to Bristol. George Ford, right-hand touchline to extend the lead.
Yeah, let's wait for this hush to go then around Welford Road. George Ford, England fly half, takes his run up, uses that right boot. He's missed one and he's now missed two this afternoon. Well, that's rare as hen's teeth. That's two in a row he's missed at goal now. So that doesn't extend the Tigers' lead. This is still going to be tight as we head into the last 10 minutes of this semi-final. Leicester Tigers 21, Northampton Saints 14.
Thanks, Sarah. Controversial moment here in Dublin. Ireland thought they had scored a fourth goal. The substitute, Scott Hogan, heading down to the rear post from where the cross came. And did the ball go over the line? The referee will have the technology, the watch which should vibrate to tell him if it does. He waved play on at the time. It was pushed away off the goal line. VAR are telling the referee not to restart. It did look at it. I'm wondering if the technology has left the referee down here. VAR are having a look at it, and play will not resume until they do.
You're watching it. It looked from here like it went over, and you kind of think, why isn't his watch buzzed him? But maybe it didn't work. I don't know. But VAR checking it now.
So the referee Marco Di Bello from Italy. The VAR is Rosario Abiso. I think the Scotland players have said, "Why are you waiting? You've got the watch." But they've obviously got something in the we've not seen a clear replay of it yet on our monitors here. We are a long way away, so it's difficult to tell from our particular angle if it's got over, but it's not going to be given. VAR said the whole ball was not over the line.
And that's why we have VAR.
Yes, absolutely.
Excellent.
Well, what a clearance, though. It was unbelievable, because how he's actually to get it out from that position.
McKenna, absolutely brilliant.
John Egan's flick on header, and it goes out for a corner. So, corner to Ireland on the right-hand side.
They've been brilliant from crosses, to the back post. Ireland, every time they put it in there, they've looked dangerous. I mean, they could have got a fourth goal there. Goalkeeper was beating all ends up.
So a corner here to Ireland, but we go to Trent Bridge and Eleanor Oldroyd.
England 36 for 1, so just the 1 wicket to go. Zach Crawley out for 4. Alex Lees dropped on 12 by Mitchell at first slip, so he needs to capitalise on that. He's on 21. Ollie Pope is on 11, but England still 517 runs behind New Zealand's monstrous 553 earlier.
Thanks, Ellie. McLean's corner was headed out for another, so it's take 2 for the Wigan Athletic player. Corner to Ireland, this time taken short to Alan Brown. Back to McLean. Scotland's marking was lax, and he's ballooned it over the top. It was one of those caught in two minds. It wasn't a cross, it wasn't a shot, it was a bad hybrid of the two. And it's a goal kick to Scotland, who still trail here by 3-0.
You feel a 3-0 up, have a bit of conviction. Just shoot, go for the target. He's in a really great place. You can see the whole goal, just try and bend to that far corner.
From a Scottish point of view, do you know when you leave it 2-1 at a corner kick, that's really bad? That was 3-1. It was 3-1. So they kind of lost their shape a wee bit, Scotland. You make 3 changes at the same time, that sometimes can happen, but that was a wee bit amateurish.
Malumbi wins possession in the midfield, goes straight through Grant Hanley, and now trying to get on the end of a 1-2 at McLean. Malumbi chases into the Scotland penalty area, but McKenna gets there first, touches it back to Gordon, and Gordon is shut down by Scott Hogan. Great energy from Ireland, putting pressure on the Scotland defence. It is a goal kick.
Malumbi has been excellent the whole game. He's tackled, he's been feisty, he's gotten the ball, he's passed it. He's made such a difference in the middle of the park for us.
Goal kick for Scotland, taken by Craig Gordon. Our Ireland on the verge of their first ever victory in the Nations League. A win that might rekindle hopes of doing well in this group, and maybe taking a backdoor route into the playoffs for Euro 2024. Throw into Ireland, right-hand side of the defence. Alan Brown is going to leave it for Nathan Collins. I see at Burnley this week they've announced a raft of senior players leaving, including Ben Mee. So Nathan Collins, who only turned 21 in April, might be about to become a very important player for his team in the Championship next season. His throw is headed by Scott McTominay. A leap and a jump by Jacob Brown for Scotland, but he can't get a clean touch, and Ireland trying to counter-attack again down the right-hand side. Good defending. Hanley up against Scott Hogan, and he draws the foul, and it's a free kick to Scotland, and it's taken immediately. Scotland have no time to waste now. 65 minutes played, 25 to go.
I mean, what a great lift it's given the Irish team, and you know, the limited amount of changes that the manager's made. I mean, you don't really want to, do you? If it's working well, you don't want to change it. You don't want to give Scotland the slightest hint of a chance. And to be fair, Scotland have hardly had a hint of a chance in the vast majority of this game, particularly the second half.
No, there's been no clear-cut opportunity. Any chance for Scotland's been long range. Touch from McGregor in the midfield. Back to Andy Robertson. In through the heart of the defence. McKenna onto Hanley. Now over to Billy Gilmore. 10 yards inside his own half, but now coming up and over the halfway line. Plays the 1-2 with Armstrong. Steve Clarke has made his changes, trying to liven up his team. Here is Southampton's Stuart Armstrong. Coming in field of Jason Knight, giving it back to McTominay. Scotland holding on to possession, but they're very much in the central third. Robertson on the left. Low to the feet of Jacob Brown. Collins bearing down on him from behind, does well. Nathan Collins wins possession for Ireland and brings it up to the halfway line. To Parrott on the right-hand side. Has a little look up. Knight was arriving. Pass from Parrott too far in front of him, and Scotland are able to clear away. Good slide in, though, from Cullen to win it back, and that hunger is there from Ireland in the game. They've worked so hard to get this 3-0 win, they don't want to lead anything slip as Gilmore pushes it in front of Armstrong. Cross on the right-hand side, too high for Ross Stewart. Cleared away to the edge of the penalty area. Malumbi in a tangle here with Scott McTominay. McTominay's too strong. Holds onto it for Scotland. Feeds Ralston on the right-hand side. Now Armstrong again, just outside the penalty area. Ireland defend. Clever ball. Low into the feet of Billy Gilmore. Back out to the right-hand side. Cross comes in. Took a deflection. Collins gets his forehead to it. And Ireland should clear away now as Malumbi sprays it into space. And Scott Hogan in a sprint here up against Scott McKenna. The battle of the two Scots. And it's the Nottingham Forest man who wins the 100-metre dash there. And backheels the ball out of play for a throw-in to Ireland on the left-hand side. 68 minutes played here in Dublin. There are 7 points between Leicester and Northampton in the Gallagher Premiership semi-final. Let's nip back to Paul Grayson and Sarah Orchard at Welford Road.
Thank you ever so much, Conor McNamara. Yes, we're going to focus on all things in the last few minutes rugby union, because this is the Premiership semi-finals day. We already know that Saracens are heading to Twickenham next weekend, but who are they going to be playing? At the moment, it's the Leicester Tigers, because they lead here against the Northampton Saints, 21 points to 14, with 4 minutes and 22 seconds left on the clock. The Tigers have led throughout this entire Premiership campaign. From week 1, they have been top of the table, but they have been tested today here at Welford Road in this semi-final by a more than plucky Northampton Saints side who are on the rise. And alongside me watching former England fly half and former Northampton Saints player Paul Grayson, Northampton have turned up today. They just haven't managed to convert all their chances.
Goodness me, they've probably had the better of the game, if we're perfectly honest. They've coped with the might of Leicester's pack, but not taking their chances.
And it is Nemani Nandola who's just come onto the field, the huge bulk of a man who runs it forward for the Tigers. A try now would surely send them into the big showpiece as they go over into the Northampton Saints 22. Tigers travelling from left to right in this final few moments of the game. The Northampton Saints all inside of their 22 now, wearing their white home strip. As we see a drop goal come in by George Ford. That one's just scudded over the bar. Our referee Matthew Carley is looking from side to side to get confirmation. He may have to go and get this one checked by the television match official. Everyone in the ground, including most of the players, think that's gone over. Your thoughts, Paul Grayson?
That definitely went over. George Ford, he wasn't even in the pocket, just standing behind his scrum half, casually turned and flipped it.
Really sorry, mate.
That's fine. Well, you can
I'm fairly
hear
certain it was about a foot over the bar, spinning sideways, ugly as you like, worth 3 points. Could be the hammer blow for Northampton.
Everyone in the ground thinks it's gone over, except the referee and his 2 touch judges who couldn't see it, but it's been confirmed now, definitely over, and that gives the Tigers a really comfortable lead for the next 24, Northampton 14. A 10-point game means that Saints have to get something in the next couple of minutes to make this interesting. There is, of course, a permutation where if they were tied at full time, we could then have extra time. But the Tigers are going to do what every good side does in any playbook, and they're going to wind down this clock.
Yeah, Northampton got a gamble here, almost intentional foul time. Make the Tigers kick it off and attack their line out. What they can't afford is 2.5 minutes of Tigers just picking and going comfortably in their own half.
Leicester Tigers at 24, Northampton Saints 14. We're into the final 3 minutes here at Welford Road on BBC Radio 5 Live. We'll keep you across all the football as it happens, of course. More Nations League is going to be coming your way as we get a breakaway here for the Tigers. They nearly managed to go over through Harry Potter. He's been stopped 5 metres out. They gather the ball, the Tigers. They're going once again, this time through George Martin. He's still short, needs support from the forwards to arrive. Van Portfleet, the scrum half, arrives. He's looking for more big men to go forward over the line. Liebenberg has arrived as well. Now it's once again Nandolo who uses his bulk and his muscle, but it's been knocked on by the Tigers close to the line. That surely would have been all over for the Saints, but this is going to take something extra special for the underdogs here.
They need a breakout length of the field score, don't they? Convert it and then get the ball back from the kickoff and go again. How likely is that? Well, Saints are one of the best teams in the league from first phase, but yet again it came from a long kick, speculative kick from Leicester. James Grayson got himself in a bit of trouble, then got himself out of trouble, passed it to Courtnall Skousan, who dropped it, which is a theme of his day, unfortunately for him. Probably should have 2 tries to his name. Northampton sitting under their own post waiting for a scrum. One last roll of the dice.
Well, if you like your tension and you like your derbies and you like a little bit of a family dynasty with what's going on here with the Graysons as well here on 5 Live, you're definitely in the right place. Paul Grayson here alongside me, former England fly half. You've had to watch your son James Grayson come on. He's had a couple of kicks at goal. One actually put Northampton Saints back into the lead in the second half. You're so calm alongside me. What's raging underneath your skin?
Listen, from the moment you can walk and understand what you want to do with your future, these are the days that you dream of. Whether you get it right or wrong when you get there, it's neither here nor there. You've got to get there first. And I'm delighted for him. He's worked hard, as have all the players, and they deserve to be out there today.
Well, big moments here at Welford Road. 2 minutes, 9 seconds left on the clock. They've just been dealing with a little bit of cramp to one of the players, and they're going to pack down now. Northampton Saints have got to find a little bit of magic from somewhere as the ball is just spun around in the hands of Tom James, the reserve scrum half for Northampton. They have to get this in and out quickly, but this is what the Saints have really hung their hat on, that forward dominance, and it's a penalty to the Tigers. The crowd loves it. Lewis Ludlam, the Saints captain, has tried to grab the ball to stop Leicester doing anything fast. It was almost going to spill over there. And Matthew Carley, our referee, he has had to calm things down so many times in this match. But no doubt here in this position, with the clock as it is, with the score as it is, Leicester will just look to the goal and kick their points.
Great surge from the Leicester pack. They threatened in the build-up to the game that it was going to be one-sided between the 2 sets of 8. Certainly not been that. Northampton, all credit to their forward pack. They've stepped up and they've dominated at times, but they've been too loose in the second half. Northampton getting out of their own third. They've made too many mistakes. Tigers haven't had to do anything creative to get into the red zone, to get on attack. Same thing happens again. They put the squeeze on. Northampton make the mistake. Ford has the opportunity to put the game to bed.
And what a story for the Leicester Tigers. Surely now they're going to be into that semi-final, meeting Saracens next week. A club that should have been relegated had it not been for COVID and the fact that relegation was taken away from the Premiership that season. They were bottom of the pile. Steve Borthwick has come in. He was obviously with Eddie Jones at England for many years. He was with Eddie Jones in Japan before that, but he knew that coming into Welford Road was an opportunity to turn this place around like he has and make it the powerhouse once again. George Ford lines this one up just on the 22. The crowd loves it and they love George Ford. He's going to be heading off to Sale next season, but he's going to be sent off in style. He'll still have one more game for the Leicester Tigers because there's 30 seconds on the clock and there is nothing that Northampton Saints can do now. They've had a brilliant run-in for the end of this season, but it's all too little too late.
Too little too late. They had their opportunities today. They'll be kicking themselves when they look back on the game. Chances to pinch it at Welford Road. I can tell you one thing though, it's been a big day for Leicester Tigers. They're playing under a huge weight of emotion. they're going to have to be a lot better next week.
Yeah, much of that emotion, of course, has been after the news of the passing of Tiffany Youngs, the wife of the former captain Tom. But this moment is all about the Leicester Tigers. They're into their first Premiership final in 9 years. They'll be heading to Twickenham next Saturday, where they'll be taking on Saracens, and they have done it in style. They've really pulled away in the second half. It's finished Leicester Tigers 27, Northampton Saints 14. Connor.
Thanks very much to Sarah and to Paul here in Dublin. Quarter of an hour to play. Still Ireland 3, Scotland 0. While we're away at the closing stages of the rugby there, Scotland had a chance. Jacob Brown, the Stoke City forward who's come on as a sub, tried an acrobatic sort of scissors bicycle kick around the edge of the 6-yard box, but he couldn't connect with the ball, and it was cleared away. Stuart Armstrong delivered a good cross from the left-hand side after a storming run, but nobody on the end of it. Scotland still plugging away as the ball is played in towards the back post. Duffy gets a little flick on it. Conor Howrahan, who's come on, the Aston Villa midfielder who'd been on loan at Sheffield United this past season, and Ireland cleared it away up towards the halfway line, where now the ball is attempted to be played forward, and it might have come off an arm there. Either way, the ball has got out of play, and it will be a throw-in to Ireland. So Ireland comfortably in front here, leading Scotland by 3-0. Coming up at 7:45, we will bring you England against Italy from Molineux, and Ian Dennis has the team news. Hello, Ian.
Hi, Connor. 6 changes. Trippier, Maguire, Rice, Sterling and Mount all keep their place. The England side will be Ramsdale in goal, a back four of Reece James, Tomori, Maguire and Trippier, a midfield of Rice and Ward-Prowse, with Mount, Sterling and Grealish behind Tammy Abraham.
Thanks very much, Ian. Ian will be alongside correspondent John Murray and Matt Upson for commentary of England against Italy from Molineux, starting at 7:45. Wales played Belgium tonight. You can listen to that one on our sister station 5 Live Sports Extra. The clock ticks on. Pat Nevin, it doesn't feel like this is going to be anything like Scotland's day.
It doesn't. Scotland have had a better 10 minutes or so, but not phenomenal, not fantastic. I'm trying to figure out what the feeling is within the stadium there from the Ireland fans. Is it shock? Because, like, you know, they're 3-0 up. They played very, very well. Like, you've almost found like what feels like a new star in Obafemi. But there's no great singing and joyousness. It's all right. So this is what it's like to win.
I think it's a sense of relief, Pat. Yeah. That's what's happened. I think they're just also been built up for the last few months of not actually getting to this point where we've won an actual competitive match, that now this is what it feels like. But I think this is the best this team has played for a long time. It really is, all over the pitch. Even when Scotland were on top defensively, they were heading the ball first, they were picking the men up the box, they weren't allowing really clear-cut chances. So I think from Ireland's point of view, this has been a very good performance.
I actually can't say that it's the worst Scotland have played, because against Ukraine, Scotland were really poor. We're so far outplayed for almost the entirety of the game, and I suppose Scotland did get that win the other day against Armenia, but that's 2 of the last 3 games. Scotland have looked very, very poor indeed.
That Armenia win had very much improved the mood, but you take the 3 games as their entirety now, and there's been more negatives than positives. Lots more for Steve Clarke, yeah. Malumbi here plays it forward for Ireland, trying to get in around the back of Andy Robertson. He controls it well and clears it away up over the halfway line. Duffy takes it down on his chest, exuding the sort of confidence that Ireland are displaying now. As McLean rolls it in front of Conor Howrahan, and he's got it midway inside the Scotland half. Left-hand side as Ireland come forward, gives it back to the hard-running James McLean, who tries to come inside of the fullback, and one of those where he forced the contact. He ran into McTominay, and the referee says that's not a foul, and play out. He has been very good, Marco Di Bello, the referee. Here comes Scotland through the middle. Billy Gilmore. Short ball to Stuart Armstrong. Has to go the long way around Scott Hogan. Scotland still inside their own half. Armstrong waits and is patient and gives it short to Scott McTominay, and now there's a bit of room available on the right-hand side for John Souttar, who did come on as a substitute for the injured Scott McKenna while we were away listening to the closing stages of the Rugby Premiership semi-final. Leicester into their first final in 9 years. They'll play Saracens, who beat Harlequins earlier on. This is Andy Robertson on the left-hand side for Scotland, playing from right to left as we look down. Closing stages now at the Aviva. We're into the last 10 minutes, and possession is won back for Ireland. Alan Brown looks to clear away, blocked by Gilmore. Throw into the Republic of Ireland.
Do you know at half-time when McTominay moved into the back 3, and I said, look, at some point, sooner rather than later, he's going to have to move into midfield, leave 2 at the back, because He's finally moved into the midfield. It's taken 30-odd minutes. You know, you needed that earlier. You needed to go and put a little bit of pressure on that Irish midfield, which were dominating, a hard word for it, but they were in control. They weren't under pressure. They weren't having to have last-minute tackles to stop Scotland creating. So I'm slightly surprised it's taken quite that long for McTominay to be asked to step into that area.
I think Ireland were winning the battle in midfield, weren't they? It wasn't that they were dominating possession, it was more that they were picking up the second balls quicker. They weren't allowed Scotland to break, and they were putting more pressure on them. So it was screaming out that Scotland needed an extra body in there.
Exactly, and it's surprised me how long it's taken Clarkey to do that.
Ireland have never won a Nations League match. That looks set to be put right here in Dublin. 9 minutes of normal time to play. Back to Trent Bridge and Eleanor Oldroyd.
And England are building a useful partnership here, 64-1, with just under half an hour to go before close of play. We lost some play for rain earlier on. They're 489 runs behind still, so let's not get overexcited. But Ollie Pope, 31, Alex Lees, 29, are going along pretty well. 64-1 in reply to New Zealand's 553.
Thanks very much, Eleanor. So for Stephen Kenny, the Ireland coach, boy, he's needed this. It's his 25th game in charge. He's only had 5 wins before today. He's not had a single competitive home win in the job, and with one more match to come against Ukraine in the coming midweek, his summer is going to be measurably better, Stephen Kenny, on the back of this performance and result.
Oh, the difference is going to make it. This is the only game that they've won as a team of importance, because if they lose this, they're out of this competition completely. Where by winning it now, winning it the style they've done, now they'll go to Ukraine feeling a lot more confident and feeling that hopefully they can get something from that match.
Scotland in possession. Andy Robertson on the left-hand side after the disappointment of missing out on the World Cup playoff semi-final. Scotland could really do with a good Nations League campaign. This performance is going to leave a lot more questions than answers for Steve Clarke. Chance laid on, a control by Ross Stewart, but he took 2 touches to control it there. He didn't have the striker's instinct in the penalty area, and Ireland block it out for the corner.
He took 2 touches, but John Egan and James McLean were so quick to get down and get that block in. They were determined to keep that clean sheet.
Again, noticeable. Robertson on the ball, left-hand side. When he gets in a decent area, Scotland out dangerous. Just hasn't happened enough.
Here's the latest Scotland corner. An in-swinger. Duffy threw himself at it and missed. Howrahan on the edge of the D tried to nudge it away, and eventually anywhere will do for Nathan Collins as he blasted out of the field of play, and a few high fives between Irish defenders down there. Ireland preparing to make a change, and I think from this point on, not to put a curse on it, but with 6.5 minutes to play, the result doesn't feel very much in doubt here. What Ireland will want as much as anything now is to keep the clean sheet through to the end of the game.
Absolutely, and it's not like you're bringing players on of that not experience. It's Jeff Hendrick and Callum Robinson, but Malumbi's going off, and I think he would be hard pushing Obafemi for man of the match of the game today. I think he was outstanding. His energy, the way he pressed the wall, he passed it. He was like a rational in the middle of the park, and it really solidified that midfield for Ireland, which was a big troubled area in the last couple of matches. And Troy Parrott's gone off, another one, took his goal really well and was energy running around. You see, he put a lot of pressure on the back 4, the back 3 of Scotland, and Robinson will come in and take his place.
So Jeff Hendrick on into the midfield for Malumbi. Hendrick, who's still a Newcastle player, he'd been out on loan this season. He will go back to a very different St James's Park to the one he left just after Christmas. But Hendrick's 73rd cap for the Republic of Ireland now, and Robinson on as well. Callum Robinson, who's actually been one of the few bright sparks in an Irish team that's underperformed in recent times, but he had a good run of goal-scoring form for his country earlier on this season. He's come on for one of the goal scorers today in Troy Parrott. So Ireland almost there for the victory in Dublin. England against Italy to come from Molineux later on. Free kick to Scotland, which is going to be taken midway inside their own half by Grant Hanley. Right-footed ball up over the halfway line, met by the firm head of Jeff Hendrick, who sends it back into the Scotland half. To Hanley once again. Robertson screaming for it, waving both arms over his head, and the ball does come to the Liverpool left back. Short pass to Billy Gilmore. He'll float it down the left channel looking for Stuart Armstrong, but across sweeps Nathan Collins, and he heads the ball out of play for a throw-in to Scotland.
Yeah, they look really good, that back three for Ireland. Not made many mistakes. They're a big, strong unit, all three of them all together. But Armstrong's maybe made a little bit of a difference down the left-hand side. I have to say he can walk off with his head held high. One of the better performances that Scotland have had today.
Yeah, he's the one that's come on and made an impact on them, definitely. But Collins, I think, for Ireland, you look at, he's a young player coming into this side, and you feel that he's got such a big future going forward for this team.
Mistake of the back for Scotland. Unforced error. Ireland will get a throw-in inside the Scotland half. Steve Clarke's side will have a chance for a little bit of redemption on Tuesday with that trip to Armenia, a team that they did beat by 2-0 on Wednesday. But they have been by some distance second best here in Dublin today, and I don't think the performance of either team was predicted here. Scotland have been worse than expected, and Republic of Ireland will have raised eyebrows by being better than even their most ardent supporters could have hoped. 3-0 the scoreline, 4 minutes to play.
It does help a huge amount when you get that second goal, doesn't it? Ireland have looked a far, far better side. Comfortable in the ball, confidence has been great since then.
I think just scoring early, the opening goal after 20 minutes, it set the agenda. It had been a relatively close game up until that opening goal, and ever since that, Republic of Ireland have not looked back.
And the timing of the Obafemi goal in the second half as well, that just kind of took any sort of wind out of sails of Scotland, because it kind of came out of blue.
It's been one of those days for Ireland. Jeff Hendrick clears away under pressure from Robertson. Scotland aren't giving up, of course they're not, and Robertson sprints to get the ball to take the throw in quickly to Armstrong. But it's just not happened. I mean, I can't think of a moment in the match where I felt, oh, Kelleher's meant to make a really good save there. That moment has not happened in the game, and that's what will disappoint Steve Clarke. Attempts to come forward on the right-hand side by Ralston. Heavy challenge on him by Howrahan. Referee gives the free kick for that. Free kick to Scotland, 10-12 yards inside the Irish half.
No Scotland player can go down there. By that way, could have been a very ugly tackle. He didn't time it at all well. He was straight-legged. He was really high, but fortunately didn't catch the Ralston clean.
Trend continuing that Scotland's only Nations League defeats have come in away games. They've never lost a Nations League game at home. Callum Robertson has crunched into Armstrong there, and he's going to be shown a yellow card for it. Late in the game, 3-goal advantage, but there's been some heavy tackles from Republic of Ireland players in recent minutes, and that's a booking for Callum Robinson of West Brom.
Yeah, this one is a lunge as well. Armstrong, who's been very bright, just flicks it through his legs, but Robinson goes flying in. It's not a pretty tackle at all.
I'm going to try and be kind to him until I say it's a forwards tackle, but that's the kindest thing I can say. That's really, really quite ugly. Once again, referee got it right. It's a yellow, but it's a strong yellow.
Yeah.
And by the way, didn't mention earlier on, but Shane Duffy picked up a yellow card. That now rules him out of the game against Ukraine coming up in Poland. He was already carrying a yellow into this match. Free kick for Scotland. It's like a corner. Wide out on the left-hand side. Billy Gilmour standing over it. Much movement in the middle. It's a very high and very wayward and very disappointing delivery from Gilmour. From an attacking position on one wing, he's booted that over the penalty area and out for a throw-in on the other side. That is curiously bad.
The set pieces have been very poor for Scotland. Exceptionally poor all the way through. Scotland are known recently for being very, very good from those situations. They've been actually terrible tonight.
It's amazing comparatively how you look at Ireland's set plays, and that's been the difference. Theirs have been spot on, everyone's hitting the target, hitting the mark. First contact by an Irish player most of the time. Such a difference it makes to a game.
Ireland have only had one win from the last 13 games against nations from the United Kingdom. They haven't scored in the last 5 that they've played. Last time Ireland beat a team from the UK was Wales in 2017. They are about to beat Scotland here, and a long, long run. 10 games without a competitive win before today, and I think there's going to be a release of celebration. There could be a party in Dublin tonight, methinks. McTominay tries to scoop one over the top for Jacob Brown, but like so much from Scotland today, it lacks the accuracy. It's not good enough.
Quality's not been there, belief's not been there. Look, a lot of them look very tired out there, and the big name players, and it's not digging them up, the expectation from players like McGinn is huge, and there's a couple of technical things that McGinn's doing now that he always now takes the ball with his back to the goal. He used to add something else as well. He used to run from deep with the ball, and he doesn't do that anymore for Scotland. Now that might be a tactical reason because he's playing a little bit further forward, but he's got to stop relying on that one move because he's so important for Scotland.
Yeah, when I picture John McGinn, I picture him making late runs into the box and arriving, like his 2 shots on target were him arriving at the penalty spot, and that's what you picture from him. When you have him as back to goal all the time, you're taking a major part out of his game.
I mean, he loves it because he puts his backside into you and he rolls you. But people are getting clever to that now. They're sussing that now. Now it sounds like a dig at John McGinn. It's not. He's been the most dangerous player for Scotland during this game when he was on the pitch. But it's got you can develop habits when you're a footballer because it works for a while. You need to make sure that you can change and adapt, and Scotland as a unit have to do that.
Dying embers of the game now. We're into stoppages at the Aviva Stadium in Dublin, an arena that has enjoyed success for the Irish rugby team in recent years, but days like this have been few and far between. A competitive game against a team who arrived here much fancied. The Republic of Ireland on their way to a 3-0 victory as things stand. We're into the 4 minutes of stoppages. Hendrick clears away for Ireland. Poor ball, mind you, to Armstrong. Some a bad delivery into the penalty area. Ross Stewart get up, looking for his first international goal, but the header is wide.
I don't know if that's great from Scotland or the fact Ireland know they've done the job. You know, just trying to play this game out. They would like this game to finish right now. I'll be honest with you. I think every Scotland fan would like it to finish right now as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's Armstrong though for you who puts a decent ball into the box.
Ireland 3, Scotland 0. Stoppage time in Dublin. And Ireland, who have only had 2 wins in 17 competitive matches under Stephen Kenny, are about to get their 3rd. Robinson tries to attack down the right-hand side. Slide tackle comes in on him by John Souttar, the Rangers defender, and that is a throw-in to Ireland. New signing for Rangers, John Souttar. Signed an agreement with them back in January, finished the season at Hearts, but now a Rangers player. Ralston on the right-hand side. Not the fairy tale today that he had on Wednesday, scoring on his first start for his country. It's been a harder game for Scotland for sure. Robertson on the left-hand side, gets away from Callum Robinson. Then McTominay is crunched into by Josh Cullen. And a little moment there that has summed up the game. Ireland being firmer, stronger and having more desire. Grant Hanley clears away for Scotland. Collins allows Stewart get the header. Leaning back was John Egan. But Ireland mop it up back to the goalkeeper, Caoimhín Kelleher, and the 3-0 lead remains intact. Egan, there was an injury doubt coming into the game, is slow to get back to his feet down there. No surprise, Michael Obafemi gets the man of the matches. Pat Nevin suggested he would a good half hour ago. Brilliant assist for Troy Parrott. Sublime finish for his own goal, and Obafemi will do well to have another day in green quite as spectacular as the one he's had today. He'll be the name spoken about tonight.
Let's not take away the other sides of his game as well. We said during the first half, I think he was giving Scotland headaches all over the place. He chased everything. He's closing Scotland down. They were winning the ball high up the pitch, partially because he was frightening with his pace. So not just those 2 moments.
Putting pressure on the goalkeeper as well at the set pieces. Here comes the latest Scotland attack. Cross from the right-hand side from Stewart, looking for Brown in the middle. Jacob Brown beaten to it by Duffy, who got a touch and put it out for a corner. Corner to Scotland on the left-hand side. There will not be time to take it. And this is a rarity. A home win for the Republic of Ireland. They beat Scotland by 3-0. Ireland's first ever win in the Nations League. No going back now, Stephen Kelly.
That's it. You got to kick on from here now. They have to continue. They have to use this as a stepping stone because it's a big win against a good South side, and they stopped them progressing. They stopped them playing their football. And Ireland all over the pitch. There's big performance from so many players. Collins, a young player coming in. Parrott, a young player coming. Obafemi, a young player. You know, this is something that they have to look back on and think that's where we at. That's the level we set.
Ireland's first win in this Nations League group is also Scotland's first defeat, and they'll want to bounce back from this, Pat Nevin.
Yeah, they'll need to, and it wasn't a good display, and the game against Ukraine wasn't a good display. Lots of players looked tired out there, looked weary. System-wise, it didn't work. Steve Clarke changed a little bit, not system, but personnel at half-time. you probably needed to be a wee bit more positive than that. But, the manager knows his players. He must look at them and think, have they got it left? Have they got any more in them? We're in the middle of June. I mentioned right at the top of the show about some players being tired. Maybe the players from the top clubs who've played a lot of games in European football are gone. They're wiped out. They're exhausted. And maybe some other players who haven't necessarily played to that level for the Irish team have got that energy left. It may be that, and maybe a number of other things. But Scotland, no excuses. Second best by a distance.
Huge win for the Irish coach Stephen Kenny. He was under pressure coming into this one. It's not just a victory, it's an emphatic one. Ireland 3, Scotland 0, Kelly.
Yes, and also with Conor, Pat Nevin and Stephen Kelly as Roddy Forsyth, there will be celebrations in Dublin this evening, of course, Roddy. But as Pat was outlining, this is a really poor defeat and a poor performance from Scotland.
And it's going to put some degree of pressure on Steve Clarke. Now, he was able to explain away the Ukraine defeat by the fact that was a supercharged occasion emotionally. This was a country with players who could not play in their home country, and the world's sympathy was with them. So it was understandable, and the fact that they played better, they looked more highly motivated, they had a better system, they played a better brand of football, all of that combined, and Steve Clarke got off relatively lightly amongst the critics. This is a different story, and someone already, I'm looking at a comment by Willie Miller, the former Aberdeen and Scotland captain, on BBC Sportside. He said, Ireland have been the better team. It's completely different from the Ukraine performance. Then we were outplayed by the better team. Tonight we're just being beaten by a team that wants it more. And I cannot think of an area of the park where it didn't look as though that was true.
And from Ireland's point of view, Stephen Kenny said before this, it would be the biggest result in this stadium in 7 years if Ireland were to win. Well, they've not just won, they've won comprehensively with a 3-0 victory.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge for Ireland. Going into this, the pressure that was going to be on him, not winning a competitive game. And for this team, after losing to Armenia away, which is an awful performance to put in, to come and beat Scotland, they were classed as above us at the moment. We would see them as being a team we're looking to get back on level terms with. But that performance today, and I think it was right, the energy levels, the determination, they fought hard, some moments of brilliance at times, but defensively we were organised and resolute. And I think in the middle of the park, the three players in there were excellent at times. So for Ireland, this is a huge performance, huge win, and hopefully something we can build on.
And tell me about that third goal from Michael Obafemi.
He opens up, the ball comes from out of nowhere, but the strike of the ball, the movement, me and Pat are looking at it from here, and the ball is going everywhere. I think maybe Gordon has a chance, but you watch it back, and he's caught it so well. The keeper has no chance, but it's a sensational strike.
Pat, from Scotland's point of view, in the aftermath to this game, they're going to be looking at the previous matches, and yes, as Roddy was saying, you can explain away the defeat by Ukraine in a sense by talking about the emotional charge of the occasion, and then to recover from that and get the win against Armenia. Where are they now after this defeat by the Republic of Ireland?
Well, I don't think you can take much out of Armenia. Armenia were awful against Scotland. They offered nothing. And so I was saying, right, okay, that's not getting me overexcited. Let's decide when we watch this game. And really, Scotland, when they're going to play the best, they need to be up for that fight and up for that battle we're talking about. That third goal you talked about there, the strike was brilliant, as Stephen described perfectly. But it was the 3 tackles in the midfield which maybe said the whole story. They wanted to win every single one of those tackles and did so. Scotland can't win games or win games against half-decent sides unless they're able to do that at that sort of level. There were too many players that were below that level today, and to some degree understandable. I mean, Andy Robertson, I get it, mate. A huge amount of games. You've put such energy into this entire season and seasons before that. I would say Gilmore had an excuse. He's a dreadful season he's been put through. I could go through a number of players. We had a long chat there just before John McGinn as well. He's not been his best in Scotland. If Scotland have to be every single player at the best, everybody being completely and utterly fit, and see if he can't get all the tactics right. Didn't get any of that today, sadly.
It doesn't sound like anybody's going to be leaving that stadium anytime soon. But guys, we're going to say goodbye to you. So thank you very much to Pat Nevin, Stephen Kelly, Roddy Forsyth and Conor McNamara. The inquest will continue for Scotland. For Ireland, a 3-0 win against Scotland at the Aviva Stadium.